They tried to silence him. They erased his name. But he rebuilt from nothing. He fought every algorithm. They tried again and failed. Now he's back, stronger. From blackout to spotlight, he's at the White House, at the top of his game. Franchi lives.
You are about to enter another dimension, the dimension of truth, unfiltered and uncensored. Welcome to the Raw Feed with Gary Franchi.
Welcome to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi, coming to you live from the heart of America. Unfiltered truth to millions on YouTube. Hit those donation links below. Every contribution powers our gear. Every contribution keeps the party going. Help me help you. Hit those donation links. YouTube channel memberships. Special acknowledgement in the fellowship. Your super chats keep me standing. Your Rumble rants fuel every round.
Say hello to super chats.
Spread the intel. Every repost extends our reach.
Super chats fuel this spectacle. Your Rumble rants give me strength.
24/7 members-only community, behind-the-scenes discussions.
Connect with fellow patriots.
My mama always said, life is like sharing the truth. Text this stream to your friends.
What if I told you the app is real? Download the Next News Network app. Android users, take the Google Play path. iPhone users, App Store awaits.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Raw Feed. It is Monday. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We are now in the, what is this, like the fourth week? This is the fourth week of the new year, 2026. And I'm glad you're with us. I'm just updating some of the socials right now. Make sure that everything is firing on all cylinders. Make sure you share out the posts that we have on X. And we have a new thing we're pushing out when we go live. I made these I made these videos with Sora. It's supposed to be like 1950s, Norman Rockwell style, videos that announce when we're going live. And check it out. They posted just now on X, so you can share those around if you want. They're kind of funny. It's my own dark sense of humor, but enough about me. We have a show to get to. So, while America slept, the establishment's house of cards started crumbling in places they never expected. Yeah, they never expected anyone to look there. Well, you're on the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi, where we bring you the stories the mainstream media hopes that you'll never see. Today marks a fascinating anniversary in American political history. On January 19th, 2001, President Clinton issued 140 pardons and 36 commutations on his final day in office, including the controversial pardon of fugitive financier Mark Rich. The move sent shockwaves through Washington and raised serious questions about the influence of money and political connections in the highest levels of government. Rich had fled to Switzerland to avoid prosecution for tax evasion and illegal trading with Iran during the hostage crisis. Sound familiar? The more things change, the more they stay exactly the same. Tonight, we're diving deep into 5 explosive stories that expose just how corrupt and broken our system has become. First up, we're taking you to Minnesota, where a massive welfare fraud investigation has now caught federal attention. What started as questions about transportation companies has blown wide open into something much bigger. We're talking about over 1,000 businesses, millions in taxpayer money, and some very interesting ownership patterns that nobody wants to discuss. The evidence is sitting right there in plain sight, covered in snow, never moving, yet somehow generating massive government payments. When neighbors start asking questions about businesses that don't actually operate, you know something stinks. But Minnesota isn't just making news for welfare fraud. We've got exclusive footage of Don Lemon now facing federal charges after what can only be described as a complete meltdown outside a church. When public figures start terrorizing families trying to worship, we've crossed a line that should terrify every American. The video speaks for itself, and trust me, you need to see it to believe it. This is not political disagreement anymore. This is something much, much darker. And speaking of Minnesota turning into a war zone, ICE operations are meeting violent resistance in ways that should make your blood run cold. Nick Sortor was literally robbed and dragged down in the street while trying to report from Minneapolis. $1,000 camera stolen in broad daylight, and nobody lifted a finger to help. When journalists can't safely document what's happening in American cities, we're not talking about civil unrest. We're talking about lawlessness. That threatens the foundation of our republic. Meanwhile, the psychological warfare against half of the country continues, but now it's getting clinical attention. Trump derangement syndrome isn't just a clever phrase anymore. Mental health professionals are starting to acknowledge the real damage being done to people's minds. I'm going to sneeze again. Oh, boy. Adam Carolla breaks down exactly how this manufactured hatred is destroying relationships and turning rational people into psychological wrecks. The question isn't whether this condition exists, it's whether the people profiting from it care about the human cost. And finally, while chaos erupts across the country, NASA is quietly preparing for something extraordinary. The Artemis II moon rocket is ready to roll. 11 million pounds of American engineering excellence, moving 4 miles over 12 hours. It's a reminder that despite everything falling apart around us, American ingenuity still reaches for the stars. Sometimes you need that perspective when everything else seems designed to drag us down. Now, these aren't isolated incidents, folks. They are symptoms of a system that's been weaponized against ordinary Americans. while the people responsible hide behind institutions they've captured and corrupted. Tonight, we're connecting the dots they desperately do not want connected. So every single story we're covering exposes the same underlying truth. The people running things have completely lost control, and they're getting desperate. Desperate. And what do desperate people do? Desperate people do dangerous things, especially when they think nobody's watching. But we're watching. We're documenting, and we're making sure that you know exactly what's happening while there's still time to do something about it. The Raw Feed starts now, so stay with us, and we're going to welcome you to the show. But first, Brian, I think we need to adjust the color temperature. Is it EV Mux here, or is it just, what, is it the camera? Okay, you do your thing. I'm going to just try to adjust this, and I was hoping you'd be there to corroborate with me, but I guess not. Okay, it's on, let me put it on manual. Okay, not auto. Is that better? How's that look, guys? I think that's better, yes? I can't tell. This monitor looks good, but this one looks a little off. I guess because Brian is doing a biological break, we're going to rely on the chat room to tell us if this is better. Did you notice a change in the screen, in the visual? Did you notice something? Looking good. It's lovely. Says Tamara and Karen and Coffee, Angel Crafts, Tyson and Truthy, Mrs. Pothead, Kenny. God is good all the time. Amen. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Looks fine. You're the man, Gary, says Joseph. This screen looks fine. I just want to I look really red on this monitor. I've had this monitor for like, I don't know, 15 years now, I think. Probably longer than that. So we're going to wait for Brian to return from his little break here. Looks good. Maybe a bit brighter. All right. Man, you should have seen the tech stuff. I had everything set up. Everything was ready to go. And then my show phone died. Literally, I came here to turn it on, and the battery was dead. So we're scrambling to figure out, okay, what phone are we going to use? I'm like, okay, I'll use my personal phone. Then my personal phone only has like 33% battery. So we plug in the personal phone, and then I use this little device here that allows me to charge the phone while it's still connected to our system. And it was barely giving it enough juice to run the show, but then the system itself wasn't reading the phone correctly, so we had to go into the settings and readjust the settings. And then other things started to cascade and fall apart. So by the time that I had resolved all of those issues, the show phone was working fine. So I don't have to worry about that. And Brian is back. So Brian, how does the shot look now as far as Discord? I think it looks okay, right? I mean, as far as a little less red, because the vMix machine looks really white, and then EV Mux looks redder. And I don't know if that's just my monitor. Okay. Hang on a second. Hey, Stuart, you're live on the Next News Network's Raw Feed, so don't say anything that you would regret. But I'm literally live, just about to do my show. Thanks for calling. Yeah, but you're live right now. What's up, man?
Yeah, I just want to let you know that, so we'll be doing the press conference tomorrow at the White House at 10 a.m. Myself, Enrique, and Ivan Raiklan. Just want to make sure you knew about that. And okay. We're just finalizing our advice to President Trump.
Okay, perfect. Well, if you have anything you want to share with me, send it over through the proper channels, and we'll process it accordingly.
All right, brother. God bless.
All right, man. God bless you. So tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the White House, there will be a press conference with Stuart Rhodes and Enrique Tarrio and Ivan Raiklan. They have some important news, guys. So make sure that you are paying attention, as we will as well.
We'll be right at the General Lafayette statue. Makes it easy for people.
Southeast corner.
Southeast corner.
All right.
Madison.
Of Lafayette Park.
Yeah, Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest and Madison Place Northwest.
All right. You guys heard it here first, right here on the Next News Network. Thanks, guys. I love you. Keep up the good work.
All right, you too, brother.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Well, I'm glad I took that call. And now you guys have some inside information about what's happening outside the White House tomorrow. So, we should probably notify our camera operator. Let's see. Let me just shoot him a quick message. Let's see here. Hang on. I'll have to call him right now. Instead of sending a text message, I'm just going to call Miles. Oh, and I went to voicemail, of course. All right. Okay, then. Miles, I just got word of a press conference, 10 a.m. at Lafayette Square, right outside the White House. Stuart Rhodes, Enrique Tarrio, and Ivan Raiklin will be hosting a press conference. I need you to get video of that before the press briefing at the White House. This is critical. We need good quality video and audio on those guys when they're doing their thing. All right. It's obviously not going to be in a controlled environment because you'll be in the park. So I need you to just take any precautions so you're safe. All right, man. Thank you. I'm actually live right now. Everyone's watching me give you these directions. So we'll see you tomorrow. We'll be expecting this stuff. And then with, of course, the White House press briefing as well. Thank you. All right. Sorry. Some last minute production stuff for tomorrow. So it should be good. Whew. All right. Let's go. I'm going to get into this in a second, Brian. Let me just cue everything up. Okay. I'm ready, Brian. Snow-covered vans that never move, ghost addresses billing millions, over 1,000 companies, 90% owned by just one community alone, all collecting massive Medicaid payments for medical transport that neighbors say never happens. Federal investigators are now asking, is this the largest welfare fraud scheme in American history? You see, your tax dollars are funding what appears to be a systematic fraud on an industrial scale. We're talking about millions flowing to companies that exist only on paper, while real Americans struggle to afford health care. You see, this is not just about Minnesota. This is about patterns that we're seeing emerging in Seattle, where the mayor is actively refusing to investigate. If the scheme is replicated nationwide, we could be looking at billions in stolen taxpayer money. Billions. We already know it's about $20 billion. That's just from what we know previously from the investigations. Now you add in the medical transport. Holy cow. This is bigger than anyone ever expected. So the political implications are explosive. How do you ignore fraud this obvious without being complicit? When neighbors can see vans buried in snow for months while payments flow, someone in government had to know. And who was getting paid? Now, some breaking news on a metal most people overlook, but governments and defense contractors prioritize every single day: titanium. The company positioning itself to lead is SAGA Metals, trading as SAGMF in the U.S. and SAGA in Canada. You see, titanium's lightweight, incredibly strong, and corrosion resistant, essentially a defense metal. Now, up to 20% of total titanium consumption goes into defense, and an F-35 fighter jet can be 40% titanium by weight. Now, these jets are actively deployed near Venezuelan airspace. North America's titanium supply is becoming critical. Greenland is emerging as a strategic hub, and SAGA Metals gives investors exposure to this Arctic supply story. Now, they are drilling at early stage valuations right as titanium moves to the top of defense priorities. They are the one to watch. SAGA Metals, you need to see their full briefing. It is linked down below. But back to Minnesota, because this fraud rabbit hole goes even deeper. Here's what gets twisted. We found licensing officials who apparently rubber-stamped operations with serious violations year after year. Childcare centers that should have been shut down, still operating, still collecting payments, and when concerned Americans try to investigate, they're finding the same patterns everywhere, except in cities like Salt Lake, where Democrat mayors are openly refusing to look into it. Now, here it is, Stephen Miller, dropping the single greatest fraud operation in U.S. history. We believe that we believe Ilhan's fraud operation in Minnesota is the single greatest theft. He calls it Ilhan's.
Believe that the Somali fraud operation in Minnesota is the single greatest theft of taxpayer dollars through welfare fraud in American history. We believe that we have only scratched the very top of the surface of how deep this goes. And you're familiar with all the scams with pretending that children have autism who are not in fact autistic, with pretending to enroll people in food programs when in fact nobody was ever enrolled, and engaging in massive fraud, lying, and theft and grift on a scale we've never seen before in American history. The total bill, the total tab for this is going to be far beyond the numbers we've already seen reported. We believe the state government is fully complicit in this scheme. And we believe that what we are going to uncover is going to shock the American people. Look, based on the records that we already have, and this is a significant undercount, by the way, 75% of the Somali population in Minnesota is on welfare. But that's likely a significant undercount of just how much of a financial burden the Somali refugee population is imposing on this country.
His explosive claim sets the stage now for the fraud schemes he's talking about. Here is Booker T. Jones. Non-emergency transportation companies in Minnesota billing Medicaid millions for transporting people to grocery stores, daycares, adult daycares, assisted living, doctor appointments. Somalians own most of the companies. Many are ghost addresses. Locals say the vans never move. Buckle up.
Here in Minnesota, there's businesses just like the one behind me. These are called non-emergency medical transportation businesses where they have vans like this sitting out in the snow that have never even been moved. Neighbors say these vans haven't moved in months. Yet the state of Minnesota has over 1,020 companies like this, and 90% of them are Somalian owned. Each one of these businesses are collecting over $1 million a year. And what are they doing? They're saying that they're moving people around that have some type of medical emergency, but the neighbors say these vans never leave. And as you can look right there, there's snow built up around all of those vans. Those vans haven't moved for a long time. But in the state of Minnesota, they're literally paying companies just like this millions of dollars a year. Like I said, they're called non-emergency medical transportation companies, and there's over 90% of them in Minnesota that are owned by Somalians, collecting millions of taxpayer dollars a year, and the vans just sit like that all year long. This is going on in Minnesota, massive fraud. Let me know your thoughts on this one.
I'll tell you my thoughts. I'm pissed. Imagine all that money could have gone to that really help real people. Transportation fraud, one piece. Now we're going into the daycare fraud that's also being investigated. Wall Street apes. American is on the Minnesota Department of Human Services website under license lookup. She found a child care center. She says she knows for a fact the DHS worker is in on it. The American used to run a corporate adult foster care, so she knows how these licenses work. Check this out.
I am on the Minnesota Department of Human Services website under licensing lookup. Here's Sweet Angel Childcare. I'm on my tablet here. Whoever did their license review, we need to find out who the licensor is that did their inspections, because they're in on it, and I'm going to show you why. If you scroll down, I've already opened these up. It tells you here when their license review was. I used to own a corporate adult foster care, So I had to do the same kind of stuff. I had reviews all the time. There was little things that I had to make corrections on. I know what I'm talking about here. Okay. Here's our last one. December 4th, 25. Here are their several violations. I'm going to scroll kind of slow so you can read them because the same ones happen every year. First aid, CPR, whatever. Over here, they haven't made their corrections yet since December. Okay. The last one before that was in 2024. A lot of the same pretty severe violations. They should have been shut down. They made corrections. It'll say correction documentation submitted and approved. Now go to 20. Scroll. 2023. Same violations. They never submitted any correction documentation. You usually have 30 days to submit your corrections, depending on what they are. None of them. The licensor that did this review gave them a pass and did not require them to make any corrections. The licensor is in on it.
The licensor is in on it. Isn't that how it always goes? There's always an insider. The insider investigation reveals system corruption. Now the fraud is spreading beyond Minnesota. Fraud schemes being uncovered in New York.
We are turning now to the Big Apple, where new multi-million-dollar fraud schemes are coming to light. Just this week, 2 scammers pleading guilty to a $68 million fraud scheme tied to the state's Medicaid home care program. Leah, what are we learning on this?
Yes, Natasha, we've been looking into this. Just this past week, as you mentioned, 2 big cases in court involving millions of dollars in kickbacks and fraudulent billing to Medicaid. And we're talking about another notable case tonight that involves a program called CDPAP. Now, if you're not familiar with that, it is for people who need to be cared for, but they don't want to go to a nursing home. So through Medicaid, they can hire their own caretaker. They get to choose if it's a friend or a relative as long as they go through the process. And while it sounds good, it is also a big target for scammers.
This is a program that is put in place to help care for people at their home instead of having them go to nursing homes.
Attorney John Flynn says while New York's Consumer-Directed Personal Assistance Program, or CDPAP, is meant to make things easier for loved ones who need care, it's also become the target of sophisticated scammers.
The actual program itself is for a good cause, but you have bad people out there who are taking advantage of federal and state money.
Just this past week, 2 New Yorkers pled guilty to a $68 million fraud scheme tied to CDPAP, billing Medicaid for services at Brooklyn-based adult daycares that never actually happened. These fraudsters were, quote, large-scale recruiters who bribed patients with laundered cash and billed Medicaid over $68 million for services that were not provided. New York Attorney General Letitia James announcing a separate $1 million-plus conviction this week, also involving fake billing and kickback schemes tied to the state's Medicaid program. Unfortunately for the state's CDPAP program, fraud is nothing new. Back in 2018, a man arranged for friends and family members to be paid as home caregivers for his sick mom. Later, investigators found out that his mom wasn't even in the country. She was living in Bangladesh. And during home inspections, his brother impersonated her to keep the fraud going. Back in 2024, Governor Kathy Hochul calling CDPAP a, quote, racket and one of the most abused programs in the entire history of the state of New York. News Nation reached out to the governor's office for comment on the recent fraud charges, and a spokesperson for the governor tells me she has, quote, taken steps to fix the system by cutting out hundreds of middlemen. Yet the fraud continues.
I don't
And
trust
Natasha, the
Hochul
governor's
at all
office
either.
also telling me that one example of Letitia James busting the transportation company owner is an example of efforts to stop this kind of crime from happening. And when Republicans asked for an audit of the CDPAP program here in New York, Hochul calling that a political stunt, saying there are already measures in place. Clearly, a lot of government-funded programs are the target of scammers. And, of course, President Donald Trump announcing recently that new division to combat crimes like this. Natasha.
Buckle up, because Trump is coming. The fraud schemes are nationwide, but look how some officials are refusing to investigate. We have this from Libs of TikTok. Democrat Seattle Mayor Kate Wilson says she's refusing to investigate Somali daycare fraud in her city because it's racist. The Democrats are protecting fraudsters who steal money from the American people.
I mean, I don't think it needs to be explained why it's problematic to have random people showing up to daycares. Yeah, I mean, I think the fear in the Somali community is real.
It's random? You think that just random people showing up? Those are called federal investigators, Missy. Okay, that's what their job is. So they have to follow the money, and the money trail goes right to the daycare. Oh, no, they're Somalis. It's racist. You see how they're playing the game here? Dude, this game is so old and so tired and so played out. Like, dude, just spare us.
Fear in immigrant communities are real, so we're taking that very seriously.
Along those lines, have you asked anyone to follow up on the fraud claims, either to the Department of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs or SPD?
No.
So there's, as far as you're concerned right now, there's no reason to suggest there's any sort of fraud?
This whole issue is not really about fraud, right?
Oh, really?
It's about dividing and conquering. It's about making an immigrant community a target, right?
No, it's not.
No reason to assume based on the identity of a daycare operator that their small business is doing anything wrong.
It's not about the identity! It's not about based on the identity. No, it's not based on the identity. It's based on millions and millions of dollars being flushed and then sent to Somali terrorists. Dude. Okay. Oh. Here's a pro tip for you. Seattle's mayor refusing to investigate. Meanwhile, the legal system in Minnesota is also under scrutiny. Elon Musk calls for Judge Sarah West of Minnesota to be fired for throwing out a $7 million unanimous Somali fraud conviction. Unanimous conviction. The judge throws it out. The judge is probably in on the take, too. See, Reason writes, Secretary Scott Bessent, at a minimum, this judge needs to be audited to find out who paid her off. That's exactly what it said. While you're at it, why don't you audit all of them?
Action was the same as most Minnesotans. I was outraged. We've been dealing with this fraud for a long time. She acknowledges in her order that fraud was rampant in this case, and it was clearly out of control. She couldn't believe the level to which fraud was allowed to be able to be perpetrated. And then it comes to bear that she lets him off because she felt as though somebody else should have been to blame that wasn't the owner of the company. Judicial reform is needed in Minnesota. That is definitely true. But the judge absolutely was acting outside of her authority to do this. It's being already brought to the Minnesota Court of Appeals. So the Attorney General's office is appealing it. And I'm sure they're going to win on appeal. I'm not an attorney, but the precedent that she used was outrageous, and she applied it far wider than the law actually allows. At one point, she argued it because in many of the instances of fraud where a check was written, the defendant claims to have been in Bemidji, which is far northern Minnesota, hundreds of, or at least 100 miles away from where the fraud was physically taking place, as if computers don't exist or whatever. And she claims that because he was so far detached from the business, he didn't credibly know that the fraud was happening, which is of course insane, right? He cashed the $1 million worth of checks within like a night.
cashing millions of dollars worth of checks. Oh, but he lived 100 miles away, so it couldn't possibly be him. Even the courts are being questioned. The political figures are being implicated in the scandal. Dinesh D'Souza. Here we go. Omar finally gets busted. There's no way she can spin this. Omar is being targeted by critics, but the accusations are getting more serious from other political figures. P.T. Tucker, Trump, Minnesota Democrats Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar using ICE operations to distract from the fraud scandal. Trump tying this to both Omar and Walz. Now, the state-level response to those claims. Minnesota State Senator Steve Draz. Tim Walz is complicit.
They have an agenda. Tim Walz is losing oil pressure rapidly. A large and growing number of Minnesotans would really like to see him in jail.
Yeah.
And we will see articles of impeachment introduced in the Minnesota House when the legislature convenes on the 17th of next month. He is complicit in the theft of over $9 billion by many of the same people that have been attacking federal officers for the past 2 weeks. He will condition any sort of investigation that the state does in order to continue to try to fit the far left narrative, which is a small fraction of a minority of Minnesotans. Most of Minnesota, Jackie, is operating normal. The vast majority of it is. Tim Walz and Jacob Fry are continuing to put this forward and get it going to the point that their media operatives in Minnesota who help them support their narrative will keep that narrative going.
That's what they do. That's why that's why the media exists for these folks, is to cover their ass. A Minnesota senator puts a dollar figure on Walz's alleged complicity. This builds into the ultimate demand that's being made. Eric Darty. President Trump just confirmed Ilhan Omar must be deported to Somalia because of her involvement in the billion-dollar fraud scandal. Quote, there was $19 billion in Minnesota Somali fraud. Fake Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, a constant complainer who hates the USA, knows it. Trump's deportation demand is the most explosive claim. And now we're going to tell you how the media coverage is being disputed. Nick Shirley calls out Andrew Callaghan. You tampered with our interview, and I've got the receipts. Nick Shirley caught Channel 5's Andrew Callaghan chopping their 2.5-hour conversation on Minnesota daycare fraud to a slick hour. Callaghan cut every part where he fumbled. Or, let's see.
All right, this is super important, and I also learned a great lesson here. So the other week, I sat down with Andrew Callaghan in Channel 5 to do a sit-down podcast-style interview for his channel. And when he goes and posts the video, I see he just posted an hour-long interview. I said, well, that's weird, because we actually spoke for around 2.5 hours. And then I go and watch the interview, I'm saying, well, what is this? This is not what happened. For instance, this clip right here.
What American city is prospering right now? Austin. Austin, name another one.
El Paso, Texas.
El Paso, Texas is prospering?
Yeah. Nashville's doing good. Phoenix is doing good. Basically, any place with low state tax is getting a lot of...
In any place that's not Democrat?
I don't know about that. I mean...
Name a Democrat city that's prospering right now.
Well, it would have to be one that's affordable.
Name one.
Denver.
Why are you smirking? It's not prospering.
All right, so that's the clip Andrew posted, but this is the actual interaction of how it went.
Denver.
Why are you smirking?
Because I don't know if it's prospering.
It's not. See, you can't even answer the question. It's not prospering. Denver's not prospering either.
I agree that Democrat-run states are doing badly.
Kind of weird that Andrew didn't put that in, right? Maybe his base or something would not be happy with that response because he obviously got caught lying. And anyways, let's move over to the next topic when we're talking about Somalians being known for pirating, as 89% of the fraud that has been charged inside of Minnesota is by Somalians. This is the interaction that Andrew posted.
Somali community, or do you see it as both?
89% of the fraud is being committed by Somalians.
Where exactly is that statistic from?
You can pull it up on the screen. You'll find it.
I just want to know where it's from.
You want me to find it right now?
For sure, just so I can, I don't know, I believe you. I just want to make sure we have the exact...
Here, right here. Yeah, and it's not racist to say it. Probably. And when I go...
This is what happens when I show him the fact that 89% of the people who have been charged for fraud in Minnesota are Somalians. This is what Andrew had to say. But remember, he conveniently left this out of the interview.
89% of those charged in connection with major identified as Somali Americans. Well, looks like we do there. I'm interested to see what you put in this interview because it looks like there's a problem with fraud.
So there you go. That's just 2 examples from the interview with Andrew Callahan where he literally went out of his way to try and make me look bad, which is not cool. And I wouldn't say that's like very benevolent of him to do by any means. But I promise you guys, if I ever do an interview with anyone, you're going to get the full product because I think that's just like the most benevolent thing to do. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed and you guys were able to see through what I just showed you. The full interview is up on my second channel.
Yeah. Oh, the media loves to edit their interviews, don't they? President Trump certainly knows that. Even journalists covering the story are fighting over the facts. And now we have the public's demand for action. Do it. Don't just talk about it. She's anti-American. She was the ringleader of all the fraud in Minnesota of taxpayer money. Deport Ilhan Omar. So, the federal investigation has expanded because local officials won't act. When mayors refuse to investigate obvious fraud, when licensing officials ignore repeated violations, when snow-covered bands collect million-dollar contracts, that's not incompetence, that's a system designed to look the other way, while your money disappears. So the Minnesota scandal reveals how welfare fraud operates with government protection. Obvious schemes run for years while officials who should investigate actively refuse to act. The federal expansion suggests this corruption reaches far beyond one state. When basic oversight fails this completely, it's not accidental, it's institutional. Your tax dollars fund operations that exist only on paper while real services go underfunded. The question isn't whether fraud is happening. Neighbors can see the motionless vans. The question is how many officials are deliberately enabling it. Do you believe systematic welfare fraud requires government cooperation to succeed? Check out the next News Merch Shop. Okay, we are going to move into our next topic, but before we do, I want to check on the Super Chats to see if anyone is feeling generous this Monday. Apparently not. Okay, maybe I deserve it. Maybe we ran too late today. I don't know. Doing my best over here for you guys. Oh, God bless that Nick Shirley, though. God bless Nick Shirley. Okay, we're going to be moving into our next topic here. Okay. Hey, look at that. Bill's Rules, $4.99. Yeah. First super chat of the evening. Thank you, guys. Let Omar swim home, you say. Nut up, Patriots, and fight back. I love you guys. Oh, just reading these chat messages. It's fun. You make me laugh, you guys. Oh man, my sinuses. I gotta do something about that. Okay. Anyway. Okay, Brian, I'm ready to rock. Oh, he's doing something else. Okay, so I will read another super chat here. Karen, drop it $2. Many super chats came in before you started. Oh, I didn't see those. Chris dropped $5 too. Gary, if we deport Ilhan to Somalia, won't she get even richer? Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Okay, so I guess there were some super chats that came in beforehand. Okay, let me look. I didn't see those. Won't she get even richer? Well, now they stopped the fraud. Let me check here. Wow, $36.99. Thank you, guys. I don't like this new dashboard they put together. It's all scattered. The data is, you can't really see where. Okay, so I see one from Chris. James, Faye dropping 10, and Chris dropping 15 earlier. And then Bills. Okay, so we got Chris and James who dropped them way earlier. Thanks, guys. All right. Let's keep going here. Only if Brian tells me he's ready, though. Okay. Don Lemon just went from CNN anchor to potential federal defendant. The disgraced journalist didn't just cover the story when radical leftists stormed a Minneapolis church. He actively participated, distributing coffee and donuts to the mob before lecturing a pastor about the First Amendment. Now, federal prosecutors are moving, and this could change everything about how we view media accountability. Now, for Lemon personally, this is not just career ending. It's potential federal prison time. Church disruption charges carry serious penalties, especially when coordinated with organized groups, but the implications run deeper. We're watching the complete collapse of journalistic ethics in real time. When reporters become activists, when coverage becomes participation, when the press abandons objectivity for ideology, that's not journalism, that's propaganda. And now we're seeing what happens when that propaganda crosses legal lines. You see, this case could set a precedent for holding media figures accountable for their actions, not just their words. The question isn't whether Lemon crossed ethical boundaries, it's whether our justice system will finally enforce consequences when journalists abandon their duty to inform for their desire to indoctrinate. And some breaking news on a critical mineral story flying under the radar, titanium. While gold and silver grab headlines, defense contractors and governments are focused on this metal every single day. SAGA Metals, trading as SAGMF in the United States and SAGA in Canada, is positioning itself at the front of this story. Now, titanium is lightweight, strong, and corrosion resistant, a true defense metal. Now, 20% of titanium consumption goes directly into defense applications, and F-35 fighter jets can be 40% titanium by weight. With these aircraft deployed near Venezuelan airspace, the strategic importance is undeniable. North American supply is tightening. Greenland is emerging as a titanium hub, and under Trump's push for domestic resource independence, companies like SAGA stand to benefit. Early-stage valuations, real drilling, and real opportunity. SAGA Metals is one to watch very closely. Check out the full briefing. You'll find it linked in the description. And also keep your eyes open for our new national security series that we will be launching very soon, as a matter of fact. It's going to focus on these strategic mineral assets that President Trump has now classified as part of the national security infrastructure of the United States. So this is very important stuff that not a lot of people are talking about, but we're going to be focusing on it. We'll have some special exclusive interviews with the CEO of this very company very soon. Looking forward to it because we need to make sure that the United States is ready. Because when institutions crumble, real assets endure. Now back to Lemon's legal nightmare. This is what makes this even more explosive. The video evidence is damning. We can literally see Lemon actively encouraging the protesters, handing out refreshments like he's running a campaign event. Then when confronted by the pastor, he has the audacity to lecture him about the First Amendment, while his activist friends scream obscenities at church families. This wasn't journalism, this was coordination, and federal prosecutors are reportedly treating it that way. Now we find out that the DOJ is announcing its intention to charge Don Lemon under the Ku Klux Klan Act. Don Lemon gonna get charged under the KKK Act. Man, we are living in an amazing timeline right now. The KKK Act makes it illegal to threaten, hurt, or intimidate people to prevent them from exercising their God-given rights. Oh boy, we got Harmeet Dhillon here. And looks like we got Benny Johnson. Let's take a look.
We will pursue charges in this case. Citizens, the Klan Act can be used to bring a conspiracy
All of those are potential predicates. We will pursue charges in this case. I see various crimes that have occurred. Exactly what they are, I'm not going to flag, but the FACE Act has been mentioned as one of the predicates there. In other cases, the Biden DOJ used the Klan Act conspiracy charges tacked on to the FACE Act in the case of protests outside abortion clinics to bring much longer sentences. So there are a number of tools available to us. Who funded this? What else? What other crimes may have occurred? Was there a use of the wires or the mails in preparing for this event? Did anyone cross state lines to do this? All of those are potential predicates for additional federal charges.
Harmeet, I've just pulled up the Klan Act because this is the first time that I've heard this mentioned. This is a act that was passed in 1871, correction there, to combat the Ku Klux Klan and protect African Americans' voting rights, especially the Enforcement Act, which is known as the Force Act. So here's some of the information on screen. Would you mind breaking down for us, because we have just read the FACE Act and how this is an affinity to the FACE Act, an obvious and egregious demonstrable violation of the FACE Act, because they were entering a place of worship, harassing and threatening. We just played a video of a man, a bearded man, who was threatening to attack the Christians that were worshiping there. So it seems like an obvious FACE Act violation. But the Klan Act here, it is on screen. First time I've heard it mentioned. Can you unpack this for us, Harmeet?
Yeah, the Klan Act is one of the most important federal civil rights statutes, and it goes back to the time when President Lincoln emancipated the slaves, and yet the southern states, Dixiecrats mainly, were refusing to give them equal rights. And in fact, that you had sheriffs and you had law enforcement harassing the newly freed slaves. So the Klan Act is a law that makes it illegal to terrorize citizens, to violate their civil rights, to get together and conspire to violate the civil rights. It is often used against law enforcement, but is now used against others as well. So whenever anyone conspires to violate the protected civil rights of American citizens, the Klan Act can be used to bring a conspiracy charge. We, in the federal law enforcement parlance, call this 241 and 242 civil and criminal conspiracies. And so what the Biden administration did is, if 3 grandmas got together to pray outside an abortion clinic for the souls of the people inside, and including unborn children, they would say, oh, that's not just a violation of the Klan Act, that's a conspiracy to violate the civil rights of women going in there to get abortions. And so we're going to add additional charges and punish that more and make it from a misdemeanor under the FACE Act to a felony under the Klan Act. And President Trump pardoned the pro-life protesters in those cases. I have recently defended successfully in the 11th Circuit a case called Oropesa, a case of Jane's Revenge, the pro-abortion protesters violently attacking crisis pregnancy centers in Florida. And we had the court uphold the Klan Act criminal enhancement to the FACE Act. So I know this is very deep in the weeds, but the point is, there are a number of things. The FACE Act is just the start. Like I said, you have material support for disruptive activities. You have conspiracy to violate civil rights. You have potentially the use of other instrumentalities to commit crimes. And so some of these folks who did this have self-identified. Don Lemon himself has come out and said he knew exactly what was going to happen inside that facility. He went into the facility and then he began, quote unquote, committing journalism. And as if that's sort of a shield from being an embedded part of a criminal conspiracy. It isn't. And so, we're getting our ducks in a row. We're putting the facts together. And this is a very serious matter. Come next Sunday, nobody should think in the United States that they're going to be able to get away with this. Everyone in the protest community needs to know that the fullest force of the federal government is going to come down and prevent this from happening and put people away for a long, long time.
A long, long time. Who knew? Who knew? And we'd have the KKK Act going after Don Lemon. Now, what actually happened at the church, Don Lemon distributed coffee and donuts to anti-ICE protesters who praised him for being out on the front lines. He later said he was just doing journalism when he joined the agitators to storm the church. Here it is.
Lemon is on the front lines right now.
Thank you.
Follow Don Lemon. He ain't no CNN no more, so he right here in the front line.
Independent, yeah.
Tell him to come get some coffee. Hey, Don Lemon got some coffee for y'all.
And donuts.
And donuts. And he ain't talking about police.
You want some coffee?
You want some coffee? I trust Don Lemon coffee.
You want some coffee?
He ain't finna poison you.
Thank you. I love some coffee. Thank you, Don.
Okay,
Great to see you here. Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah, there you have Don Lemon on the front lines, right? Soon he'll be at the front of the line in the showers. Lemon's own words contradict his actions with the pastor now. Lemon tries lecturing a pastor on the First Amendment after a mob of far leftists stormed the church.
What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
but there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
Yeah. We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here. Yeah. Okay, that's why we're here. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship. Yeah. We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Wow. Shameful indeed. Lemon lecturing about rights while violating them now show how aggressive he became when challenged. Lemon loses it after a much smarter man shuts down his gaslighting attempts at a Minnesota church that was stormed by far-left agitators. Lemon was seen harassing the man and following him around as he tried to leave.
These people have come into our house and they've interrupted our worship. This is a house of peace, and we try to proclaim that. And this stirs division and rancor. And in the end, it's not helpful. Ultimately, I believe they've lost. They've emptied a house of worship. Everybody's gone home. Their point has been proven worthless. And so, in the end, I think they lose. But more importantly, if I was to break into any of their houses uninvited, cause derision and upset according to their values, I would be kicked out ultimately. It's not a good way. I feel violated. I feel interrupted. I feel angry.
May I ask you something? When you were saying if you had showed up at their house, they're saying that people are showing up at houses where there are citizens without due process and breaking and entering their house. One that we saw, I've been watching from New York, with a battering ram into someone's private property, and there's no recourse. There's no, you understand what I'm saying?
This is all part of a much larger dialogue, in my opinion. On one side are people who watched a previous administration bring 12 million people in over the course of 4 years, and many of them undocumented, many of them criminals, etc. This is another administration's corrective. Now, whether you agree with the policies or procedures, I think I could actually be sympathetic to some of the things where there have been challenges to action and decency. At the same time, these are what are called targeted interventions by ICE to keep the American people safe.
If I respectfully may interject here, I've been out reporting on a lot of these, and they're not targeted. There are no warrants signed by a judge, let me finish. And they're American citizens, many of them. Most of the people that they detain don't have criminal convictions or criminal records.
I'm not going to get into the weeds.
But you should know that, though. Don't you think that's part of it?
Yes, and I could also show you many opposing sides where we're also picking up the very criminals that have put Americans in danger. And I'm not saying it's pretty. I'm not saying it's not messy. I'm not saying it couldn't be better. I'm saying this is a part of a much larger dialogue in which one administration caused a great deal of chaos and havoc and danger for American citizens, and another is trying to correct that.
Do you believe that? Why honestly,
okay.
let me talk to you
Listen,
just on the
you're not
facts.
a journalist.
Yes, I am. I want to give you the facts.
No.
Did you know that undocumented people and immigrants commit far less crime than American citizens?
We're done here.
Yeah.
We're done here.
Than natural-born Americans. You won't listen.
If you could ask,
I'm giving you the facts. It is.
Give me facts. I would have a conversation.
But I can respond to you.
No.
But
did Jesus stand with the oppressed?
Because he doesn't want to listen to facts. That's the interesting thing about this is that they won't listen to facts.
I just don't. No.
You won't because
when you pose as a journalist,
I am a journalist. Journalist gives facts.
And then you start correcting me with facts, and don't have.
You shouldn't hear the facts.
Of course, I
most
should
of the
hear
people
facts.
who are picked up
but will
are
you
not.
Give me the facts on both sides.
That is the facts on both sides. Most of the people who are picked up and are detained are not convicted. They have no criminal convictions. They have no criminal records. None. That immigrants commit far less crime than native-born Americans. So they won't listen to the facts. Anyways, these folks are still out here.
Yeah. Dude, that guy was trying to have a nice conversation, and Don Lemon, you saw it escalated. Now, this is the most damning piece of evidence, his premeditation. Don Lemon reportedly been caught admitting his intent to violate the FACE Act, storming a Minneapolis church with his anti-ICE leftists. They're planning an operation. We'll follow them, and they'll catch people off guard. That's what we're doing.
Into Minneapolis a little bit ago and did some reconnaissance on the ground, speaking to an organization there that's gearing up for resistance and protest. I've been surprised, pleasantly surprised to see
it just blows my mind. Resistance and protest against a church. They're going to have Sunday worship, and you're going to go protest them. You're going to harass Christians is what you're doing. And you're going to play along with them. And you're going to amplify their insanity. And you're going to give them coffee and donuts to support them and nourish them. It's exactly what a demon would do. These are demons trying to go up against the body of Christ. Well, bad news, demons. We know how this ends. We know what happens. If you flip to the last book, it has been written. So, I guess, when the book of life is written and it's opened up, there's going to be Don Lemon passing out donuts and coffees to demons, aiding and abetting an assault on the body of Christ. That's just one of your crimes, Don. We don't need to talk about your husband either. That's another one. But anyway, sorry.
See the community coming together. Diverse community. If you see this when we first pulled up, we're like, wait a minute, which operation are we at? And as it turns out, because we're like, well, this is kind of MAGA coded, right? So the American flag or whatever, but these are resistance protesters. They're planning an operation that we're going to follow them on. I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but it's called Operation Pull Up. And it's Takima Armstrong, and she has been doing this since George Floyd, Dante Wright, and others, where they surprise people, catch them off guard, and hold them to account. And so that's what we're doing here. And then we're after we do this operation, you'll see it live. And these operations are surprise operations. Again, can't tell you where they're going.
I can't tell you where they're going. Don Lemon's got the inside scoop, guys. This proves intent and planning. Now the human impact on the church goers. Don Lemon sees kids fleeing the church. It's traumatic.
Watch this guy here. Look, he's hugging his kid, and I imagine it's uncomfortable and traumatic for the people here. But again, careful. It's very slippery right here. Yeah. It's uncomfortable and traumatic for the people here. But that's what really careful, please. Really slippery. Not kidding. That's what protesting is about. And so...
Makes me sick. The most shocking moment is callous reaction to the terrified children. Now the broader pattern of his involvement. Horrible kids crying, people just trying to pray, and progressives screaming in their faces. A stage of madness that dates to the way back to the reign of terror.
The Lord is safe in your house. The faith you want to get your house in order.
That is correct.
Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good!
Oh, please.
Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities? I'm not going to comment. You have no comment, exactly.
Why aren't you standing up for your Somali and Latino community?
Renee Good! Renee Good!
Unbelievable. I've never seen anything quite like this before. Never seen anything quite like this.
All these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No! Jesus would dine with immigrants. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians. But we know you live an easy life, don't you? A very easy life while people are starving. Shame. Out now. Out now. Living real comfortable while the people starve. Living real comfortable while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're all living real comfortable, aren't you? Shame on you. Do something. Stand with the Somalis. Stand with the Latinos. Quit ignoring this injustice. He wears a suit and tie and he hangs out with Kristi Noem. How is that a Christian? You're supposed to accept all immigrants, are you not? Why are you not going down to Whipple and joining us in protest against this inhumanity? You claim to be a Christian. Act like one.
Wow. The lunacy of these people. Now, show Lemon promoting the attackers. Don Lemon interviews a black woman who led an assault on a church full of mostly white Christians in St. Paul, Minnesota, Friday. The activist, Nikema Levy Armstrong, Paul writes, is vile, and Lemon is gross for promoting her instead of alerting the police of her attack. Minneapolis activists disrupt church service over pastor's ice roll.
Tell us why you're doing this.
This is Operation Pull Up, more of a clandestine operation. We show up somewhere that is a key location. They don't expect us to come there, and then we disrupt business as usual. So that's what we're about to go do right now. Ice out! Ice out! Ice out! Demanding justice for Renee Good and letting them know that this will not stand. They cannot pretend to be a house of God while harboring someone who is directing ICE agents to wreak havoc upon our community and who killed Renee Good, who almost killed a 6-month-old baby. Enough is enough. I am a reverend on top of being a lawyer and an activist. So I come here in the power of the Almighty God.
The power of the Almighty God? You're really going to invoke Jesus and the Almighty God in a house of God? You're going to go disrupt other Christians? He platforms the attackers instead of reporting them. Now he's trying to spin his way out of it. He's claiming that The MAGA administration is making stuff up, and he didn't storm the church. On his live stream, Lemon stated people need to feel terrified. This is what protesting is about after seeing children running out of the church scared. Now he realizes he is screwed.
MAGA administration and the fake news MAGAs are losing their mind over something that's not even true. So let me just make it clear, because this a assistant attorney general, I don't know, gosh, what's her name? Something Harmeet Dhillon or whatever. So I had no affiliation to that organization. I didn't even know they were going to this church until we followed them there. We were there chronicling protests. Once the protest started in the church, we did an act of journalism, which was report on it and talk to the people who were involved, which included the pastor, members of the church, and members of the organization. That's it. It's called journalism. First Amendment, all that stuff. For all of you people who believe in the First Amendment, absolutist, there you go. So why don't you talk to the actual person who is in charge of the organization and whose idea it was to have the protests at the church before you start blaming me for stuff for which you have no idea. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Yeah, nice try, dude. Nice try. Classic damage control deflection. Now the broader principle at stake. If you're terrorizing people, we're going to church. You have never, nor you will ever be the good guys. This right here is the litmus test.
Nazis! Fuck you fucking traitor! How dare you have a rainbow fucking umbrella, you Nazi bitch! How dare you try to steal that from our people! Fuck you Nazi traitor! You
You indoctrinate these children so you can fucking rape them. Isn't that what it is, you fucking asshole?
Oh my
is
God. Yeah. Dude, these people are sick. These people, this is not protesting. This is harassment. I mean, that one guy looked like he was, like the demon was screaming out of him. I'm not even going to play any more of that. This frames the moral clarity of the situation. Now, religious leaders are demanding accountability. Pastors nationwide are demanding the DOJ investigate under the FACE Act after Don Lemon and leftists disrupted worship at a Minneapolis church.
Today in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a group of activists led by Don Lemon stormed a Baptist church by the name of Cities Church during their worship time. They were screaming and chanting, disrupting the singing and the preaching, because they suspected an ICE officer may attend the church. This is a violation of what is known as the FACE Act, and not only do we condemn this act, but tonight I want to demand that the Department of Justice investigate what took place in Minneapolis, apprehend those who broke the law, and arrest them accordingly. We must protect religious liberty in this country. As people meet to worship God, they have been given legally the right to enter, to worship, and to leave their place of worship. The Lord Jesus said, "In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer, I have overcome the world."
Amen.
I have preached for many years that there will come a time when we'll find out who are Christians by label and by convenience, and who are Christians by conviction. And certainly we're in.
Yeah, we are certainly in those times, my friends. Pastors demanding federal action under church protection laws. Now the political leadership response. Byron Donalds writes, December, Walz lied that ICE would target Christmas Mass to embolden far-left agitators. Yesterday, the very agitators Walz emboldened attacked Sunday Mass. Minnesota emboldens the mob. As governor of Florida, he says, Florida will always back the blue, and I will never give up an inch to the woke mob. He's running for governor.
There's a rich irony here because just over the holidays, Governor Walz was warning that ICE was going to raid houses of worship and churches at midnight when exactly the opposite has happened. He has, along with the mayor, incentivized these agitators to carry out things like you're watching on our screen now.
This is what I mean. These agitators who, by the way, they are paid, folks. America, they are paid to do this kind of mess. These are the people who will say they have a First Amendment right to speak, but they just trampled on the First Amendment right of that church to be able to worship. That's what they're doing right now. And this is completely unacceptable. But let's be very clear. President Trump and his administration, they're not going to bend the knee to the mob, because that's what the mayor of Minneapolis wants. That's what Tim Walz and Gavin Newsom, these other crazy governors, that's what they want. The Democrats have no solutions about protecting the United States, protecting their people, or having orderly legal immigration into the United States. They want chaos. They want anarchy. They want this, what you're seeing right now on your screens. It's awful. Not going to be tolerated in Florida, Texas, or anywhere else that common sense reigns in the United States.
Common sense. That's what we need. A little bit of common sense. Political accountability reaching the governor's level. Now bring it back to the federal charges and legal implications. DOJ has now announced, you see at the bottom of your screen there, announced they could charge Lemon with the Ku Klux Klan Act for his role in storming and terrorizing the Minneapolis church to protest ICE. There it is, folks. There it is. Don Lemon getting charged under the KKK Act. And the most telling moment, when Lemon tells the pastor there's a constitution, while standing next to protesters calling churchgoers Nazis and making accusations about child abuse. That's not reporting. That's providing intellectual cover for harassment. The man who spent years lecturing America about democracy just helped terrorize people exercising their most fundamental right, freedom of worship. This case represents everything wrong with modern media. Activists masquerading as journalists, using press credentials as shields while abandoning every principle that journalism once stood for. When reporters become participants, when coverage becomes coordination, when the press attacks the very people they're supposed to serve, that's not the free press our founders envisioned. That is a state-sponsored intimidation with a corporate logo. Federal charges might finally force a reckoning the industry has desperately needed. The question is simple. Should journalists face consequences when they cross from reporting to participating in illegal activities? Let me know in the comments. And while you're there, check out the Next News merch shop for gear that stands with real journalism, not activist propaganda dressed up as news. All right, looks like we got some super chats that have come in. Many super chats here. ITMT ROG, $10. Thank you. And Brenda Strickland dropping $10. Thank you very much for your support, Brenda. Vicky, $9.99. We love you. You deserve super chats. Thank you, Vicky. Oh, thank you so much. And Cece, it's so frustrating seeing Don Lemon. I'm as pissed off as you are. Maybe that's what he wants to stay cool. God's in control. The congregation did stay cool. They certainly did. They certainly did. Wow. All right. Okay. We're going to be moving right along into our next segment of the evening here. Because this Minnesota story is not going away. Armed leftists are forming militias in Minneapolis to stop ICE operations. A journalist was robbed and dragged down the street while trying to report. Self-proclaimed Black Panthers are conducting military drills in the streets. This is not resistance anymore. It's an armed insurrection against federal law enforcement, and it's about to explode. This affects every American who believes in law and order. local communities organize armed resistance against federal immigration enforcement. We're not talking about protests. We're talking about sedition. Your tax dollars fund ICE operations that are now being met with rifles and organized militia groups. If this succeeds in Minneapolis, every sanctuary city will follow suit. Armed leftists will control who gets deported and who doesn't. Local militias will decide which federal laws apply in their neighborhoods. This is how civil wars start, with local armed groups defying federal authority. The precedent is being set. Now it will determine whether America remains a nation of laws or become a collection of armed tribal territories where federal agents fear to tread. And speaking of what matters most, protecting what matters most, let me tell you about securing your financial future. Because if you're over 40, planning to retire someday, the window to protect what you've built may be smaller than you realize. Here's a question most people never ask. Is your portfolio built for what's coming next? Many investors in their 40s and 50s discover they have little to no exposure to metals. You see, that means their savings are largely tied to markets, policies, and paper assets, with very little protection if conditions change. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you've already built becomes just as important as growing it, and that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in, helping investors reduce risk by adding physical gold to their portfolios. And right now might be a smart time to talk with Noble Gold Investments. No pressure sales, no gimmicks, just clear answers and a strategy built around your goals. Visit nextnewsgold.com and build your portfolio for the long term. That's nextnewsgold.com, or you can call that number on the screen. Now back to this developing crisis in Minneapolis. This is what the mainstream media won't tell you. This is not spontaneous. These groups are coordinated, trained, and equipped. They're using military formations, tactical communication as well, and someone's funding and organizing this resistance. The question isn't whether ICE will continue operations. Trump has made that clear. The question is how many federal agents will be injured or killed before Minnesota's governor, Walz, restores order. But of course he won't. Minnesota's sanctuary policies putting Americans at risk despite the efforts of Walz and Frey. DHS continues to push forward, removing criminals from our streets and bringing safety back to our communities. That is the official statement from the Department of Homeland Security.
This is Micah Bach, Deputy Assistant Secretary at the Department of Homeland Security. This week in Minneapolis, federal agents pressed forward with critical operations to arrest dangerous criminal illegal aliens and uncover the largest fraud scandal in American history. I want to take a moment to explain why DHS is in Minneapolis in the first place. What brought federal agents away from the warmth and safety of their families and into Minnesota? The answer is simple. The sanctuary policies of Minneapolis and Minnesota have created an existential threat to the American citizens living in these communities. Here's how. It all starts with decisions around if state law enforcement will, enforce the law. When illegal aliens commit crimes, federal law enforcement will issue what's called a detainer to state and local law enforcement, asking for them to be detained until they can be taken into federal custody. This is the ideal scenario. Criminals stay safely behind bars, agents are able to easily apprehend them, and communities are free to walk the streets without fear of attack from criminal illegal aliens. The crisis in Minnesota is a direct result of Governor Walz and leaders in Minneapolis intentionally deciding to take these known criminals who have violated the law and release them back into the streets. Now, federal agents must undertake a dangerous task: find, apprehend, detain, and deport criminals who had already been under lock and key. This is how society crumbles. When state leaders choose to defy federal law, release criminals into their communities, and then urge violent mobs to riot while federal law enforcement works to arrest the criminals that the state leaders released. In Minnesota, Walz's revolving door of justice has released nearly 470 violent criminal illegal aliens back onto Minnesota streets since President Trump took office. These are murderers, rapists, child sex abusers, and more. These sanctuary politicians are making communities volatile. They're refusing to hand over criminals to ICE, and they are putting Americans at risk. On Wednesday evening, during a routine traffic stop of a Venezuelan national illegally in the country, the suspect resisted arrest, fled, crashed his vehicle, and then assaulted a federal officer who was working to safely arrest him. This criminal illegal alien was then joined by 2 accomplices, also illegal aliens, who swarmed our officer with a snow shovel and broom handle, beating him mercilessly. Ambushed 3-on-1 and fearing for his life, the federal officer fired a defensive shot, striking an assailant in the leg. If Walz and Frey truly believed in protecting Minnesotans, they would be cooperating with ICE, honoring detainers, and keeping these threats locked up or removed. We wouldn't see federal agents surging into Minneapolis, putting their lives on the line in these volatile situations like this. Sanctuary policies don't make communities safer. They create the very conditions for escalation and endanger everyone, including the dedicated men and women of federal law enforcement who are left to clean up the mess. Americans deserve better. Law and order starts with leaders who put citizens first, not criminals. One thing is abundantly clear. This is a struggle of order versus anarchy. Law and order will prevail over the forces of chaos seeking to empower criminals over citizens. We'll see you next week.
There you have the official position. Now what's happening on the ground in Minneapolis? Leftists in Minneapolis are getting armed and standing guard against ICE. Leftists with a rifle. This is my neighborhood. Mr. Tough Guy wouldn't last 2 seconds. Watch this. This is what, and he writes, this is what Tim Walz and Frey want, Mayor Frey want. They want a shootout. They want the bloodshed to distract from the fraud. It's all choreographed. Specifically, they need this to foment the chaos, to distract from the investigations, so they can parade in front of the cameras and they can say, "Yep, see, look at how bad these people are. Oh, but don't look over here at how bad we really are."
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You live in the neighborhood?
Yep, this is my block, this is my area. I don't go into other people's neighborhoods and try and intimidate them. I protect my people.
Are you giving out your name?
No, I'm okay with that. Our neighborhood's showing up.
You guys had a lot of people out here, right?
At least 30 or more.
Yeah.
40 or 50.
That's pretty good for a quick turnout.
What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do? You're going to shoot the ICE agents? Is that what you're going to do? You're standing there just trying to be, I don't know, show force? Now we're going to show you how the organized groups are getting involved. Black Panthers are organizing and training to guard their community against mass ICE raids. Good luck with that. Lay a finger on an agent and you will meet the FAFO of your life. ICE raids will continue. Here we have the Black Panthers joining the fray.
About face. Uso. What are we here for?
For the protection of the black man and woman and child by any means necessary. Unify, educate, demonstrate, liberate.
Why?
The community rights responsibility.
About face. Uso. What are you here for?
For the protection of the black man and woman and child by any
All
means
right, you get the point, right? From individual protesters to organized Black Panthers, vigilante behavior is affecting innocent civilians. A group of white male engineers eating at Clancy's Deli in Minneapolis were surrounded and accosted by far-left extremists who mobilized to the scene because someone thought the men were ICE agents. This follows a driver being accosted for having an SUV.
This is so cool. I mean, so cool as This has got to be the funniest thing I've ever seen. I know, it's like, you feel like a zoo. I've never.
If you're not with us, then you're against us. Oh, yes.
Hi.
So clear.
Oh my God. What? We do custom apps for a whole bunch of companies around Minnesota and the country.
Why are you filming?
Because you're filming us. Here.
Do you understand what's happening here? These guys go and meet for lunch. They build apps. And the lunatic, uneducated morons on the left with their whistles think that they're ICE agents. So they go and accost them and surround them and assault them. Average people are now being assaulted just because of the way they look.
Do I look like an ICE agent?
Yeah, you look like a fucking ICE agent.
Holy fucking Christ.
You look like an ICE agent. I don't have anything to do with it.
This is what's wrong with this guy's car.
No, it's not. Because you have no relationship with that. Wait, so do you support him? Would you support?
Support what? The way you guys are acting?
Do you support ICE? Oh, okay. Yeah.
The way you guys are, I don't support ICE either.
Bootlicker either way. Then why do you care? Then you should say.
I'm just trying to enjoy my lunch.
If you're not with us, then you're against us.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. If you're not with us, you're against us. Innocent engineers mistaken for ICE. Now it's extending beyond Minnesota, apparently. Let's take a look, dive deeper. Political violence, anti-ICE fascists require pedestrians to prove they are not ICE. And police are now allowing this behavior in Ohio. Oh my goodness, this is out of control.
Can't say it? Hey, why don't you uncover your face, your ugly fucking face, bitch? You can't say it?
Out of my face.
No, fuck you. What you gonna do about it, bitch? I don't fuck with ICE. They call me Ice K. What up, bitch? They call me Ice K, you fuck boy. Say that shit, you ugly bitch. Hey, what's your name, bitch? Other than bitch. What's your name other than bitch? Huh? I said, what's your name, bitch? Bitch? What's up? Come get it. Come get it. Where you going? Huh? Are you ICE?
No.
Do you like ICE? Say fuck ICE! Say it!
Wow.
Say it, bitch! You're a bitch and your mom's a bitch! Say it! Fuck you! Fuck you, Nazi! Fuck you, Nazi! Fuck you, Nazi! Fuck you, Nazi! Fuck you!
Oh my goodness. I don't know how much longer I can endure something like this.
Out of my face.
Or what, bitch?
Yeah,
what are you
get
gonna
the
do?
point. You get the point. This guy's out for a stroll, and he's being accosted by crazy leftists. The personal cost now of a robbery. A group of Somali thugs robbed me, Nick Sortor writes. Excuse me. Robbed me of my $1,000 camera in the Cedar Riverside neighborhood of Minneapolis. They dragged me down the street as my hand got trapped in their door handle. Nobody bothered helping. DHS must raid this place. Okay, here's the footage, guys.
Hey, 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 hey! Hey, hey! Hey, get!
What did she just do?
She fucking...
Oh, shit. Okay, it's okay.
She took next camera. She just stole next camera. Let's get her.
No, give him the camera! You're gonna give him the camera!
Just tell her to give him the camera back.
Give him the camera!
What happened, Nick?
They just stole my camera.
Right out of your hand while you're in the car?
That's what the fuck you wanted, right? That's the fuck you wanted, right? That's what you did. Man, listen, motherfucker, you better get the fuck up out of here.
My daughter.
You fucking coward. Motherfucker, you a coward, bitch.
You have to leave.
You a fucking coward. You robbed you, motherfucker. Get the fuck up out of here.
$1,000
bitch.
from me. You fucking coward. You a fucking coward, motherfucker. Nobody motherfucker, you trying to incite that shit. Nobody stepped in. Get the fuck up out of here, bro. $1,000 from the big one. Fuck you, bitch. Did you call that? Did anybody call 911?
Why are you in this neighborhood?
Have Kevin do it. Okay. You fucking Nazis. We got it all on video.
We're not Nazis.
Yeah, you fucking Nazis.
We're not Nazis and we're not racist. I condemn Hitler completely.
You a fucking racist, bitch.
I'm not racist. I condemn all racism.
God, you a fucking Nazi.
I condemn all racism.
Why are you here?
We were driving through and we got followed. You guys followed us.
No, we're following you because who are you?
It doesn't matter. We're allowed to be here. It's the United States of America. Why do we have to leave?
What?
We're not leaving till we get the camera. You want us to leave? Give us the camera. Call your friend, get the camera back, and we'll leave.
Who took the camera? Because if you guys want to scream racism, but yet you're treating him like this, why? Why? Racism can go both ways.
You've been talking about 2 hours fucking recording.
You guys were...
Unreal. Nick is getting assaulted on the streets for doing his job. See, there's a big difference between Nick Sortor and Don Lemon. See, Nick is out there documenting. He's recording it. Don Lemon is inserting himself into it and promoting it. And that's why Don Lemon is about to find out what it's like to be at the front of the line in the prison. The violent robbery of Nick Sortor is the most dramatic moment. Now we're going to show the federal officials what they're saying about it. ICE Director Todd Lyons explains how Minnesota leaders are responsible for the ICE surge by refusing to cooperate. In my 30 years of law enforcement, I never thought I'd have to send law enforcement to protect law enforcement. This is where we're at.
You know, you hear about the 3,000 federal officers and special agents that deployed to Minneapolis. Majority of those, if not most, are to protect the men and women that are out there trying to make those arrests. And that has definitely changed our tactics, where we would go and have 5 to 6 officers on an arrest team. Now you have to go with 10 to 15 just to protect those individuals that are trying to arrest a bad guy. In my 30 years of law enforcement, I never thought we would have to send law enforcement to protect law enforcement. But I don't think you'd see as many of the issues if political leaders were allowed their local and state law enforcement to work with us.
Great point.
It's never a public safety issue to pit law enforcement against each other.
Of course. Really great point.
This is exactly what they want. ICE Director's 30-year perspectives give some weight. Now the Deputy AG explaining the legal consequences. Todd Blanche.
You saw the governor and the mayor actively encouraging criminals to go out on the street and impede ICE. That is not allowed under our law. When a federal officer is out doing their job, they have to be allowed to do their jobs. And the fact that we had to stand up and tell a mayor, that we had to stand up and tell a governor to stop encouraging the folks that are out there running around trying to stop ICE, to stop encouraging them, when what they really should be doing is helping their fellow federal officers, is something that's horrible. But listen, no matter who you are, whether you're a governor, a mayor, or somebody out there on the streets assaulting ICE, you cannot, under federal law, you cannot impede a federal officer doing their job. And that's what we're looking at. And I'm not going to talk about the investigation, but American people can see what the mayor has been saying. They can see what the governor's been saying, and it's obvious that has to stop.
It's not going to stop, though, because this is the chaos that they want. They want to see it happening. DOJ threatening legal action against local leaders. Another contrast of how this works in cooperative cities. Senator Haggerty.
The contrast couldn't be more stark, Maria. You see what happens when you've got a local mayor in Minneapolis, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, encouraging citizens to resist federal authorities, to not cooperate. And what you have is bedlam in the streets. You have citizens driving into ICE agents. You have non-citizens, people here illegally, trying to attack ICE agents. And you have somehow these protesters advocating for the illegal people here, the ones that are criminals. You heard Todd Lyons, you had a great interview with Todd earlier. The 70% of these people that they're arresting are criminals, and now the job has become much more difficult in places like Minneapolis. Look at what happened in my home state of Memphis. I began working with the local mayor back in 2024. Governor Lee, a Republican, stepping up here in Tennessee, cooperating. Local leadership in Memphis cooperating. And what's happened? We've arrested over 5,000 criminals on the streets of Memphis. Memphis had become, on a per capita basis, the murder capital of America in 2023. And that has changed dramatically, and it's all because of local cooperation with federal authorities. We've got 16 different federal agencies working hand in glove with local authorities in Memphis right now. Memphis is becoming one of the safest cities in America.
That's what happens when you cooperate. Your cities get safer. But the left wants total anarchy. Now, here's a federal explanation of why Minnesota is so difficult. Todd Lyons.
You go ahead and you look at what we've done since January 20th. 70% of all illegal aliens that ICE has arrested last year and going into this calendar year have criminal convictions or pending criminal charges or warrants or criminal histories back in their home country. And, we've been focused on those that have been lawfully ordered deported by an immigration judge who failed to leave. So there's about 1.5 billion individuals in the country that have been legally and lawfully ordered deported or removed from this country by a federal judge. Unfortunately, as much press as we do, as many releases as we put out, no one will pick up the fact that we are actually out there focused on our law enforcement mission. And the one thing we say all the time is, these sanctuary jurisdictions, you would not see this many ICE agents and special agents on the street focused on the criminal illegal alien mission if they would just turn people over to us. That's the key. Right. These local law enforcement agencies have already deemed these individuals a public safety threat and arrested them. Why not work with federal partners, turn them over to us, and let us get them out of our communities?
We'll see if that happens. Why not? The shocking reality of ICE actually facing in the field. A vehicle honking and impeding our investigation. Trying to arrest that.
We're here to arrest a child sex offender. And you guys are out here honking.
Oh, they're not. No, we're pressed. We're not.
That vehicle right there is honking and impeding our investigations while we're trying to arrest a child sex offender. That's who you guys are protecting. Insane. That's what we're doing. My word's not for you. My word is not for you. I don't have to say it. It's insane how you can be honking.
Protesters literally protecting offenders like that. Here's the federal response to the obstruction. Here's more from Todd Blanche.
Local leadership told citizens to call 911 when they see ICE. They did not tell citizens to call 911 when they see ICE officers being assaulted and attacked. And to the contrary, police officers are not anywhere to be seen around the ICE facilities. When the ICE officers are out doing the work they have to do, there are no cops around. And that is not the way that it takes place in cities across this country. In virtually every place we go in, we get support from law enforcement because that's their job. And again, this is not an indictment of the men and women who are police officers in that city. This is an indictment of the leadership that's telling them what to do. And that's why President Trump is looking at all available options and will continue to do so, because the local leadership is not letting local law enforcement do their jobs.
Deputy AG calling out the problem. Here's what federal officials say makes this so unusual nationwide.
Yeah, what you just heard was a complete lie. That is absolutely not is what's happening on the ground in Minnesota. I was there on Friday. I saw what the men and women of ICE are doing every day, and they are doing their job. And there are folks that may not like that they're doing their job, but these blatant accusations that they're violating the First Amendment or somehow committing crimes are not only completely false, but they're doing real damage to our law enforcement officers around the country. And it's interesting that there are thousands of immigration actions all over this country every single day. And nowhere do you hear this outrage, this made-up outrage from local politicians and activists, except for in Minnesota. And that should be telling to the American people.
Federal officials emphasize Minnesota is uniquely problematic, and local politicians are doubling down. Mayor Frey says there won't be calm in Minneapolis until ICE leaves. The Trump administration is not going to surrender to the radical left and let Minneapolis get back to rampant fraud, theft, and sanctuary for criminals. Good God.
The second these ICE agents leave the city, I'm telling you, you're going to have calm in Minneapolis, and you will continue to see the great comeback that we had been experiencing. Let us get back to that comeback. Let us live in peace. Let us have businesses that are open and daycares where you don't need to escort staff to and from. Let us live in a place where, look, in Minneapolis, we'll stand up. If we have to sled down ice hills to get to a protest, we'll do that. If we've got to make sure that people are escorted to the grocery store, we'll do that. But truthfully, we want to get back to a place where we can just love on our city, do our daily activities, just like any other town in America.
Do our daily activities. Yeah. You mean the fraud? Just let the fraud persist? His defiant stance shows no backing down, and now the political implications with the congressional angle. Democrat Representative Ayanna Pressley introduced a bill to end qualified immunity for federal law enforcement, emboldening criminals, and brags about calling to abolish ICE since 2018. This agency must be abolished.
Let me drill down into what it is that you and Senator Ed Markey have done with this bill. It grants citizens the right to sue federal law enforcement officers for civil rights violations. And if it passes, it will end qualified immunity, and that protects officers who engage in misconduct from civil liability. So as we witness this aggressive and many would say illegal actions by ICE in American cities, what do you hope is the effect of this bill?
Well, again, the history here. ICE has only been in existence since 2003. And when I ran for Congress in 2018, I've been calling for the abolishment of ICE. We see what's happening right now where they're terrorizing communities, but it's also what's happening behind the wall with ICE, people that are dying in custody. So this agency must be abolished.
Good luck with that. You can try to abolish and scream all you want. It's not going to happen. Here's what everyday Minnesotans actually think. A man records as he drives past a group of anti-ICE protesters in Minnesota claiming that people do not support them. So this is in Minnesota, guys, and this happens in the spot specifically all the time.
So this is in Minnesota, guys. All right, and these are what you'll notice is the people who are standing here. They're all elderly, okay? And this happens in this spot specifically all the time. You'll notice nobody's honking for them. And the reason why nobody's honking for them is because nobody supports this. But what bothers me is the fact that there are elderly homes very close by this area.
Elderly homes. They're just
It's like they're going and they're recruiting these people to do this. And that's exactly what it is. It's, it's really sad. But people don't agree with this. And I'm just showing you, this is in Minnesota. This is between Edina and Richfield. Nobody's honking for them. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about this at all. So from what I can see, in many cases, it's the elderly, and it's probably because there are case managers or other people who work at that facility who have a political perspective that are grouping these people together and telling them to go protest down the street. Or it's the schools. There's some schools, namely in the Democratic held districts here, that are encouraging their students to go and protest, and they're giving them the ability to leave school to do this. So they're probably encouraging them that way too. I'm just saying, this isn't organic. The majority of the population supports law enforcement, and what you're being told is not the truth. And I just wanted to show you.
Now you know the truth, guys. It's all AstroTurf. They're just shipping him in from the nursing homes, guys. That's what they're doing. Lack of public support. Here's the bizarre circus atmosphere it's created. Not a protest. What's happening in Minnesota so far today can't be labeled as a protest. It's more of a struggle session where the schizo people came to scream. This guy thought Don Lemon was an ICE supporter and screamed at him to F off before realizing.
So now, this is where we have been in that lot, and they blocked it off. Do we know why? I don't know why they blocked it off, because we were able to come through and park there. So I don't know how.
White supremacists!
What's that going to mean?
This is a white supremacist agenda!
Why do you say that?
Fuck off.
No, me, dude, I'm not here.
Whose team are you on?
Come on, man.
Don Lemon.
This is Don Lemon.
All right, man. All right, well, sorry, brother. I'm so sorry.
Really?
No, I'm so sorry.
On our team.
Yeah, so why do you say that?
This is a white supremacist agenda. They're not just going after criminals.
Okay,
I'm so sorry.
Real quick, we're going to pause this. He's on our team, right? It's obvious. They know. He knows. He knows what team he's on. There's no amount of cover he can try to gaslight the American people with at all. You just saw it right there. Right there.
I didn't recognize
Do I look upset?
There's all kinds of folks out here with media. They're not just going after criminals. They're going door to door, and they're targeting any black and brown person they can find. And all of America is next. If you live by a black or brown person, you're next. They're above the law. They outnumber our police. This is a white supremacist agenda. No?
When did you get? You just today's your first?
I live nearby. I've been out a couple times.
Yeah. But why do you come
I'm so
out?
sorry I went after you, man.
Dude, it's fine. Why are you out here instead of like being in your warm, cozy house?
I'm so sorry I went after you, man. I'm so sorry. Oh, man. This is the moment of truth for American federalism. Either federal law enforcement can operate in all 50 states, or we're witnessing the balkanization of America in real time. Minneapolis has become the testing ground for armed resistance to federal authority. The outcome here determines everything. So the battle lines are drawn in Minneapolis. Armed militia groups versus federal immigration enforcement. This is not about immigration policy anymore. It's about whether the United States government can enforce its laws in its own territory. When local communities take up arms against federal agents, we've crossed a line that hasn't been crossed since the Civil War. The question every American must answer is simple. Do you support federal law enforcement's right to operate in all 50 states, or do you believe local militias should decide which federal laws apply in their neighborhoods? Yes or no? There's no middle ground here. While you're thinking about that, check out the Next News merch shop for gear that shows where you stand on law and order. How about that, huh? How about that? That guy at the end there, that was classic. Like right out in the open. Let's see where we're at with super chats. Okay. It didn't take, you say? What do you mean by that? Can you... Okay. Are you going to be able to do the mark out? Okay. Okay, let's take a look at where we're at with super chats real quick. Let's see. Super chats at $68.98. Lovely. We're almost at our goal tonight. Let's see if we can hit it. $100. If we hit 200, you guys know what happens. You can ask the chat room. They'll tell you what happens. So we're at $68.98. And let's see, the last one was from Cece at $10. I am for law and order and ICE for the black ice. Stormy weather, stay ready. Got a Rumble chat here. What is it saying, Brian? Can you copy that and send it to Discord for me, please? Okay, can you send me the error first? Okay, I gotta find it on Discord. Okay, 1 second. Let's see. Let's see. And also, let's see here. You couldn't mark out on topic 3? Yeah. Okay, 1 second. Oh, dude, my topic pages all went down too. Looks like the whole site went down. Are you able? Can you just copy that as text and send it to me? From live all the way to the word backup. Okay, thank you. I got it. Thank you. So, raw feed. So is the live page still up? No, hang on. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Sorry guys, hang on. Okay. Yep, it's all down. All right. We're investigating. Why the site crashed. That was weird. Okay, try to refresh now. And mark out. Brian, refresh and mark out. Just mark out anywhere. Go back as far as you can and mark out. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm going to try and get that feature you wanted implemented so we can get your okay. So you can scrub any point in the timeline. Okay, it says it's going to add timeline scrubbing and jump to live for future shows. Okay. Increase DVR buffer, adding this functionality. Let me see if we could possibly get this. I don't know. Maybe we could have this implemented on this show. I don't know. Okay. Thanks for sticking through the technical hiccups, guys. And my congestion. Send in the bagpipes, says Prism. Okay. Let me just, while it's doing that, let me just ask if it can, will he be able to use this during this show? This new I'm starting to think it's true about Bondi. Leave Bondi alone. Name the one thing she's done. Oof. Yeah. Okay. Brian needs to refresh the stream page to get the new code. You can do it immediately. Click drag timeline to seek within buffered content. Jump to live button. See behind live indicator. Limitation for this, the 2-hour DVR buffer starts building from when he refreshes. He can only scrub back to the content loaded after the refresh. Content from earlier in the show before refresh won't be seekable. For future shows, full 2-hour scrubbing from the start since the buffer builds from the stream start. Tell Brian to refresh now. He'll immediately be able to scrub within whatever has buffered since the refresh. And he's jumped to live to get back to the live edge after seeking. You might as well do it now. Okay, so then... Okay, he did a hard refresh and still doesn't see the... little red box is showing. Says, what does it say? It has a number. Okay. I have a feeling that little red box is your is your buffer, maybe your buffer building. I'm trying to find out exactly what that means, Brian. If you, okay, all right. I told him that. Okay. It's investigating, vibing. Okay. All right, guys, we're just going through a couple of hiccups here. I apologize. And we'll get through this in a moment. Oh, really? Are you really going to do that to me now? Unreal. Okay, I got to reset this connection now, too. Okay. That's just how it happens around here sometimes. Trump derangement syndrome is now a clinical focus. We're going to be talking about that in a moment. Oh, look at this. We got some super chats. No problem on this end, Gary. Everything looks okay. Thanks, Bill. Tamra dropping a buck. Thank you, Tamra, for that. No, the stream's fine. It's just the back end processing that is giving us a little bit of a headache today. The red box. Okay. Okay, so continue. The red box is the number behind live indicator I added. Okay, that red box with the number is the behind live indicator I added. But the jump to live button might be a styling issue. Is going to check and fix. Let me check what Brian is seeing. So the little box is, yeah, it has something to do with the buffer. It's so the little box is annoying because it is pushing all the other divs down. And then it disappears and it bounces back. Yeah. All right. Okay, you should see the timeline panel header. When behind live, red badge is 15 seconds behind, gray jump to live button. When live, green badge live. Click on the timeline bar itself. Got it. Move the mule status area. Okay, so refresh your page again. Hoping we. What? Okay, now do another hard refresh. The live indicator and jump to live button are now in the mule status bar at the top. Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll get that placement for you. Oh, okay. You want it next to the volume button? Where do you want it? Next. Okay. Oh, the native video controls can't be modified directly. He can overlay a button on the video player that looks like it. Okay. You're getting what you asked for, Brian. Okay? I don't even know what you're looking at. I have to go to the page. Oh, yeah. So what would you like me to do with the backup stream? How about a button to hide it? Okay, so refresh your page. You see the live and the live? There's two live buttons now. Which one functions? Where? I need to know where you want it. What you have a red button? You have a green one and a red button. Which one is which? I don't know the difference. Uh-huh. What is... That's always there? It seems like it's in the middle of your timeline, though. What? Well, hang on. So the green live button, what is that? Is that a button that does something? So do you want to move it? Remove it. Oh, I see. Oh. So what do you want me to just type it in Discord what you want, please? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, tell me what you want. But you said you didn't. You said you wanted them on the timeline itself. Well, what if we have it move it all the way to the right of the video player? Okay, so move the buttons to the right of the words primary stream and a button to hide the backup stream. Yeah. Right. Okay, 1 second. Let me just get that fixed done. And then you want the primary stream to be centered? Okay. Give it 1 second. And we can move into our fourth topic. I gotta check my email from a message from Stuart Rhodes regarding tomorrow's events at the White House. What is this? Okay. Iran protest. That's not it. I don't see. I gotta text Stuart. It's still building it. You're getting premature. Okay. Okay. You happy now? Okay. All right. Anything else? No? Okay. Wow. All right. All right, guys. Enough of this. All right. You guys, thanks for sticking through. Working through this. All right. This sausage is getting made. The thing is, what we're doing here, guys, is we're transitioning systems, and it's like there's a lot of growing pains, and we've been going through these growing pains for a couple weeks now, and we're almost through it, I think. We'll see. Okay, Brian, I'm ready when you are. Therapists across America are reporting a bizarre new phenomenon in their offices. Patients are literally losing sleep, skipping meals, canceling vacations because they can't stop obsessing over Donald Trump. One psychologist says it's become so severe, they're treating it like an actual clinical disorder. But what's really happening behind closed doors might shock you. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about your mental health. When licensed therapists start documenting specific symptoms like insomnia, panic attacks, and obsessive thoughts, all triggered by one person's existence, we're crossing into dangerous territory. Your friends, your family members, maybe even you are experiencing psychological responses to political content. Adam Carolla points out the irony. While some people profit from Trump hatred, others are literally making themselves sick over it. The implications are massive. Are we witnessing mass psychological manipulation? Is this organic mental illness or manufactured outrage? When Democrats defend Iran and white colonialism just to oppose Trump, we're seeing real-time cognitive breakdown. Now, speaking of protecting yourself from chaos, let me tell you about our friends at Noble Gold Investments. Yes, they've been sponsors of ours for many, many years. And if you're over 40 and planning to retire someday, the window to protect what you have built may be smaller than you realize. Here's a question most people never ask. Is your portfolio built for what's coming next? Many investors in their 40s and 50s discover they have little to no exposure to precious metals. That means their savings are largely tied to markets, policies, and paper assets. There will be a number on the screen, I promise, but those paper assets have very little protection if conditions change. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you've already built becomes just as important as growing it. And that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. That's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. Helping investors reduce risk by adding physical gold to their portfolios. Right now might be a smart time to talk with Noble Gold Investments. No pressure, no sales gimmicks, just clear answers and a strategy built around your goals. Visit nextnewsgold.com and build your portfolio for the long term. Nextnewsgold.com. The link is right there. Now back to the psychological meltdown that we are witnessing. This is the twist. Steve Hilton reveals how Trump derangement syndrome is forcing Democrats into the most insane positions imaginable. They're now defending Iranian regime actions and Danish colonialism in Greenland. Think about that for a second. These people who spent years calling everything racist and colonialist, now defending actual colonialism because Trump opposes it. The syndrome isn't just making people sick, it's making them abandon their core beliefs. Psychotherapists now seeing Trump derangement syndrome in their patients. I had one patient couldn't enjoy vacation because she saw Trump on her device or news and felt triggered. Oh boy, here we go, folks.
Jonathan is in focus with me now. So first of all, identify it for us. You're in a session and you pick up on what?
Well, Harris, it doesn't take long for me to pick up on this. People are obsessed with Trump. They're fixated. They're hyper fixated on Trump. And they talk about some of the features of this disorder. They can't sleep. They feel traumatized by Mr. Trump. They feel restless. I had one patient who said she couldn't enjoy a vacation because anytime she saw Trump in the news or on her device, she felt triggered. So this is a profound pathology, and I would even go so far as to call it the defining pathology of our time.
These people come to you for the things that you described. Can't sleep, traumatized, perhaps depression. I don't want to put words in your mouth. But at first, you are there to treat an illness, a disorder of some kind. And what you figure out is the trigger.
Well, and Trump is the trigger for many of these people. And to be that fixated on a figure, on a person, it's simply not healthy. And our country has strayed so far away from where we once were. If you look at in the 80s when President Reagan was shot, people were united. He famously said, I hope you're all Republicans to the surgeons. And the response was, today, Mr. President, we're all Republicans. But our country has lost that. We've strayed so far from that unity.
Mm-hmm. And what do you see? Because you told me off camera 3/4 of your patient load right now has what you're calling this TDS.
Well, 3/4 of my patients will present with a lot of these symptoms, and within probably 5 minutes of seeing me, their hatred for Trump comes up. So if you're that hyper-focused on Trump, that's a real issue, and it's worth being treated.
Is there a pill for that? This medical angle. Now pivot to the clinical expert. Dr. Godsad confirms Trump derangement syndrome is a real psychiatric disorder, a form of parasitic thinking derived from emotional processes rather than cognitive processing. People who suffer from TDS always give you an effective base.
And so would you say that, for instance, what's very popular in America at the moment is Trump derangement syndrome? Is that an example of, suicidal empathy, parasitic mind, some sort of brainworm that's got it? Because it doesn't seem to be just a normal antipathy to a political figure. It really seems to be a derangement, a psychiatric ailment. People are obsessed and compelled to attack others who they suspect might harbor sympathies towards Donald Trump.
Right. So I'll answer the TDS question, and then I'll go back to explain what suicidal empathy is exactly. So TDS, you're right in that it speaks not so much to suicidal empathy, but to a specific form of parasitic thinking, which I discuss in the parasitic mind. So going back to this dichotomy of thinking versus feeling, in many cases, it makes perfect sense for us to invoke our emotional system. So for example, if I am selling you perfumes, well, I won't sit there and tell you Harvard physiologists decided that the optimal molecular structure, right? Because there I would be invoking your cognitive system for a product that's a hedonic one. So rather what I'm going to do there is simply show you a sexy girl with her hair flowing, riding a horse, and then I'll put some French sounding name for the brand, right? So in some cases, I need to invoke your cognitive system. In other cases, I need to invoke your emotional system. Now, Trump derangement syndrome arises from the misapplication of the wrong system in that particular context. When judging whether a political leader is one that I should vote for or not, you'd like to think that I am going to invoke my cognitive system, but I don't. Because whenever you speak about people who suffer from TDS, they always give you an affective-based response. He disgusts me. He's grotesque. He speaks like a cantankerous, eighth grade brawler, right? They never say, I detest Donald Trump because I don't respect his monetary and fiscal policy, right? It's always driven by what I call an aesthetic injury, right? And why is it an aesthetic injury? Because all of the highfalutin folks with the progressive lisp have taken on certain affectations, have gone to certain schools, crossed their legs a certain way to demonstrate that they belong to, as Thomas Sowell said, the anointed ones. And that's what defines my identity as a progressive member of the Castrati Club. But Donald Trump comes along and he doesn't exemplify those traits. So if he can ascend to the highest office in the world, this invalidates all of the effort that I have put into fabricating my own personhood as a progressive person. Therefore, he is literally an existential threat to my personhood, to the beautiful facade that I have constructed. So yes, you are right. TDS is a psychiatric disorder due to emotional processing rather than cognitive processing.
It's real, folks. Here's another expert on the broader cultural impact. Gutfeld says Trump derangement syndrome is actually Trump derangement addiction.
I often say that Trump derangement syndrome is actually Trump derangement addiction.
Yes.
Because it's a one-on-one relationship that persuades you, that puts everything through that filter. So if you're an alcoholic, you see everything as will I be able to get my next drink? How is this going to impact my, my morning, whatever. And it's like the Trump derangement addiction has a filter, and it tightens this relationship so nobody can be within it, just like an alcoholic. But you're right. There is a come to Jesus moment in any kind of addiction where you go, I need help. And that's where the ego comes in with the left. It's like it's very hard for them to admit that they need help. They won't take help from Republicans, so the Republicans give up. But it's like watching Kimmel and his wife. She says, it almost sounded like she needed help. Like, I wish I could be deprogrammed, and that's kind of what 12 steps is. It's deprogramming you. And you need a 12 steps for wokeism,
12 steps for wokeism. Is that really going to be a thing now? Well, transition from the addiction angle, how this phenomenon has affected the mainstream media figures. Bill Maher says the quiet part out loud, Trump derangement syndrome has hijacked America for over a decade.
It is a phenomenon we have never seen before. Right. That one person would dominate
every
just the national
every dinner
for
every
over a decade.
Thing. Yeah.
But and I do think you have to fight that. Like I say, if that's your whole personality, is the first thing out of your mouth is, what are we going to do about Donald Trump? I just can't. I can't. And first of all, I can't.
First of all, you don't have the answer.
I don't have the answer, exactly.
But people think you do. I would get it. I would get it.
I can't get away from these people.
Maher's confession extends beyond politics now into foreign policy. Steve Hilton for governor. Trump derangement syndrome has caused Democrats to defend Iran. This is hilarious.
It is interesting to me how, just broadly, Donald Trump sends people into crazy positions, because he's now so strongly associating himself with the protesters and saying that there'll be a price to be paid if they're hurt. So suddenly, in classic fashion, we must be against it because Trump's for it. On the Greenland issue, right? Suddenly, you've got all these people on the left who are basically now coming out in favor of white colonialism. Denmark colonizing Greenland. And no, we're for the colonialists.
I had a listener who put it so beautifully. I've referenced him probably 8 times now. He called into the program, to the Morning Answer last week, and he said the one thing that's been amazing to watch about Trump is how he has put people who are liberal and on the left on the razor's edge, basically scrambling to defend, for instance, Nicolas Maduro, right? That was the story last week. You had the Biden administration come out and say, well, Trump would never be tough on Maduro because he admires dictators, right? Well, then when Trump goes in and arrests Maduro for the crimes that we believe he's committed, well, now poor Maduro. I mean, you really do have people who are playing moral shape-shifting, I think, because they have such a bad case of Trump derangement syndrome.
That's the case, though. Trump's derangement syndrome is real. And now some real-world behavioral examples. Celebrity reactions. Famous comedian Amy Schumer says she will move to London due to President Trump. What's your response? Yeah? This teacher says she's not going to have kids because of Trump.
Last night, the conversation my fiance and I had before we went to bed was, if this happens, we won't be having kids. At least not in the next 4 years. We definitely can't have them in the state we live in now. I'm already a high risk, and if we wait 4 years, I'll be pushing 36, which makes me high risk and a geriatric pregnancy, which means it's probably never going to happen for me. Not here in the U.S., definitely not here in Charleston, South Carolina. We could move back to our home state of Maine. They're a protected state, or to Vermont, somewhere in New England. But even then, who's to say what's going to happen? And then waking up to texts between myself and my female friends and my LGBTQ plus friends, and not knowing what the world's going to look like for them either. And then coming to school this morning and realizing someone might want to put a gun in my hand to protect these kids. That's all we did at our last teacher in service day, was prepare for gun lockdowns. I teach 2- and 3-year-olds. And that's the world they're growing up into. So I hope you voted, and I hope you know what you did when you voted.
Well, you know what? I'm glad I voted, because now I feel better knowing that you will not be reproducing. All right. Now, the most concerning example. Kindergarten teachers at Propel Northside in Pittsburgh cross their fingers in hopes of an assassination of President Trump.
There's news in the world, guys. Sorry, we got a little too excited there. Guys, please. Please.
Hang on a second. Let me see that again.
There's news in the world, guys. Sorry, we got a little too excited there.
Yeah, we saw a lot
Guys,
of that
please.
after Butler, didn't we? And now here is Adam Carolla on the detrimental effects of TDS.
You take Trump derangement syndrome and you take someone like Rosie O'Donnell. Now people will go, okay, well, what about your buddy Kimmel? Which I just had a good exchange with, because I found myself wearing this, which is the Kimmel sweat jacket, on the trip, and then because it's cold, I put on the Kimmel parka. And I realized I was walking around.
Your Kimmel mucklucks?
Yeah, I was literally sponsored by Jimmy Kimmel's show, and he did a long interview with somebody about me for a change, which was actually nice. I never, it's weird, ever since Kimmel and I broke up, I would do interviews about Kimmel, which is logical. He didn't do that many interviews about me. I did a lot of interviews about Kimmel. But Jimmy hates Trump. But Jimmy gets paid to hate Trump. And I'm not saying he doesn't hate Trump. I'm just saying at least he's turned his lemons into rolls of nickels. Now, someone like Rosie O'Donnell, her hair just falls out while she just loses weight and goes insane quietly in Ireland. You know what I mean? Like, there is a way to channel it and actually do something with it. And then there's a way just to be destroyed from the inside out. And there's people, like Keith Olbermann and Rosie O'Donnell, you people do not remember a time, but I do, when Rosie O'Donnell was like pink-cheeked and fun and had a full head of black hair, and Keith Olbermann had a full head of black hair and was talking NCAA basketball and was funny and vibrant, you know what I mean? And now it's like they got AIDS. It's like literally like Trump gave them AIDS. He did. Like you look at the old Rosie, you look at the old Keith Olbermann, and you look at them now, and it's like, what happened? They look like they got AIDS.
Yeah.
Trump gave them AIDS.
Oh my goodness. It's true though. You look at their faces, they look like that's just the hatred that's built up inside them. Hang on, my camera has a mind of its own. They have this the hatred builds up inside them, and it just manifests outwardly. And that's why they do that. That's why they look that way. New evidence indicates it's possible to recover from Trump derangement syndrome, though. Case in point, Michael Rappaport, who's announced he'll be running for New York City mayor in 2029.
Trump derangement syndrome might actually be curable. Michael Rappaport started out with serious TDS. Then he came around after seeing Kamala run for president and was like, maybe Trump's not so bad. And now he's saying that he's going to run for mayor in New York City in 2029 to beat the socialist commie Zohran Mamdani. Check this out.
Special announcement, I Am Rappaport Stereo Podcast. I, Michael Rappaport, will be running for mayor of New York City in 2029. You got Zoran the moron now, but have no fear, Mayor Rappaport will be here. You like them apples? How does that roll off your tongue? Mayor Rappaport, born and raised in New York City. Born and raised in New York. Born and raised. I came out of my mother's womb, New York Hospital. Okay, I will be running my campaign on the fact that nothing will be free. I will do my best to make New York City affordable, but you will be getting nothing for free. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to bullshit you. Okay, I will do my best to make New York City safe, affordable, and thriving, but every single time I make a mistake, I will acknowledge it, I will apologize, and I won't do it with a shit-eating grin. Okay, I'm going to be the best mayor for New York City, for the people of New York City. I'm born and raised in New York City. I'm coming. No Diddy. I am coming to take back New York City. Mayor Rappaport. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's happening.
That's interesting. I was also born and raised in New York City. Maybe I should give Rappaport a call, see if he needs some help.
That's crazy. That's where we're at, though. There is hope, my friends. There is hope for the deranged. Here's the kicker. One therapist reported a patient who couldn't enjoy her vacation because she kept checking Trump news on her phone. She felt triggered by seeing his face. We're talking about a grown adult whose brain has been so rewired by media consumption that the mere image of a political figure ruins her ability to experience joy. The real question isn't whether Trump derangement syndrome exists. Therapists are literally documenting it in clinical settings. The question is how we got to a point where millions of Americans are experiencing genuine psychological distress because one man lives in their heads rent-free. When people defend authoritarian regimes and abandon lifelong principles just to oppose Trump, we're witnessing mass psychological manipulation in real time. The media entertainment industry and political establishment have created a generation of people who can't function normally because of political obsession. This isn't healthy obsession, it's manufactured mental illness. Are you letting political content control your emotional state? Check out the Next News merch shop. All right. So if you were wondering what I was doing during that last segment while my camera was going nuts, I can control my camera from my phone. And if I draw a little picture around my glasses, like, so if I lean back in my chair, I always get out of frame. So I was trying to figure out how I can lean in my chair and not fall out of frame. But the problem is that when I put my hand in front of the point where I'm trying to see, now it's tracking my hand. It misapplied my hand to the tracking motion. So what I need to do is reconfigure. Now see, it's going to follow this. So what I need to do, I'm trying to get it to track on the V right here. I get it to track there, but it keeps getting lost. Oh well. I'll put in a bug ticket. But now you guys know how it works. Oh, the technology. And see, look, it lost it already, see? So if I'm here and I go ahead and I draw a box right around the V. Oh, it lost it. Target lost. Okay. I tried to do it on my chin, but my chin didn't seem to work as well. Maybe that will work. I don't know. Let's see what happens if I lean back. Is it following? Is it following? Is it following? Oh, we lost it. We lost the chin. Maybe make the chin bigger. It's smart enough to know if there's a microphone in the way. Yeah, see? But if I double tap myself, it'll track me, as it recognizes me as a human shape. But if I want it, see, the problem is if I unlock the pan, the tracking settings, right now it's got pan axis lock and tilt axis lock. So if I lean back, is it tracking me still? That's not so bad, I guess, right? I turned off the pan axis. So that way, if I stand up, I think it'll track me. Then when I do the Trump dance, so you guys can see me. Let's see, does it work? Working? Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Morgan Edwards. Not sure when my 1-year membership date is, but I'm about to have a TKR on the 28th. If you can check, I really want to try to watch then. What's a TKR? I don't know what that is. Someone tell me what that is. Okay. All right, maybe this will work, Brian. We'll see. All the toys. Let's see. Everybody, lean. What? Okay, he says. How's your jump to live thing working for you? In your scrubber? Is the scrubber working? Yes or no? I need to know. Why? So you say you try to scrub back to 8 minutes, but it didn't let you. The refresh. Whenever you refreshed last. It will. Okay. Okay. So you can't scrub back past even 8 minutes. Okay, so it just jumps you back to live. Just. I'll say the refresh should persist. And the cache should be unlimited. Yeah. I'll just say should persist to let him scroll back where he wants to. Well, in this, we just started this feature in the middle of the show, so you're not going to have that. Okay. All right. All right, enough fun. Enough fun with our toys over here. Next News Network. But we're live. Total knee a TKR, a total knee replacement. Wow. So you'd be like, oh, pardon me. Like Bionic? Is that right? We have Bionic Man. 1 year membership date. I don't know how to look that up, Morgan. Honestly, I don't know. I've never been able to figure that out. I'm about to have a TKR. Not sure I'm going to. We'll pray for you, Morgan, for sure. Okay. Warning, these changes require a NingX restart, which will drop the live stream for the show. No, we don't want to do that. Future shows after it'll end will restart. No. No, we don't want you to do that. For now, Brian needs to mark times out watching live or note approximate times. We can pull exact times from recording after. Live scrubbing is limited to 60 seconds until NingX restarts. Nginx restarts. Don't restart it. Yeah. After the show ends, he'll restart it, and future shows will have a 2-hour HLS playlist, segments preserved, full timeline scrubbing. Okay. Don't restart it, he will deal with the 60-second issue. Okay. All right. So can I lean back now? Can I do that? Okay, I think it's working. All right, enough of the games. Let's play. Let's get into this next story. NASA's massive Artemis II rocket's finally making its move to the launch pad, marking a critical milestone in humanity's return to the moon. This 11 million pound beast is going to carry 4 astronauts further from Earth than any humans ever traveled in over 50 years. But here's what they're not telling you about this historic rollout. See, this is not just another space mission. It's your ticket to a new era of human exploration. When Artemis II launches in 2026, it proves that ambitious goals can still be achieved, inspiring a generation that's grown up watching nothing but failure and disappointment. Your tax dollars are funding this $93 billion program while inflation crushes your budget and infrastructure crumbles around you politically. Now, this mission determines whether America maintains its space dominance or watches China plant their flag on lunar soil. First success here means jobs, technology, breakthroughs, national pride. Failure means wasted decades and global embarrassment while our enemies surge ahead. And of course, our enemies, they're the ones who have Trump derangement syndrome. They're the ones who are going to be putting their heads down. Oh, Trump won again, right? Rather than go America. That's the problem. Okay, so listen, speaking of protecting your future, let me tell you about today's sponsor real quick, because if you're over 40 and planning to retire someday, the window to protect what you have built may be smaller than you realize. Here's a question most people never ask. Is your portfolio built for what's coming next? Many investors in their 40s and 50s discover they have little to no exposure to precious metals. That means their savings are largely tied to market policies and paper assets with very little protection if conditions change. As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you've already built becomes just as important as growing it. And that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in, helping investors reduce risk by adding physical gold to their portfolio. Right now might be a smart time to talk with Noble Gold Investments. No pressure, no sales gimmicks, just clear answers and a strategy built around your goals. Visit nextnewsgold.com and build your portfolio for the long term at nextnewsgold.com. And that number is on the screen. Now back to this historic moon mission that's capturing the world's attention. Here's a twist that nobody's talking about. This rollout to Pad 39B is happening on the exact same launch complex that sent Apollo astronauts to the moon. The symbolism is intentional, but the pressure is enormous. One mechanical failure during this 4-mile, 12-hour journey could delay the mission for months. In those launch windows in February through April 26th, they are not flexible. Miss them, and you are looking at significant delays. So NASA says it could be weeks away from launching astronauts on a flight around the moon for the first time in more than half of a century. Only around the moon? Come on, let's land on the moon. His final preparations are underway at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. CBS News' Mark Strassman got an up-close look at the Artemis II.
The countdown to a new lunar mission. NASA says it could be just weeks away from launching astronauts on a flight around the moon for the first time in more than half a century. Final preparations are underway at Kennedy Space Center in Florida, where the Artemis II moon rocket is expected to roll out to the launch pad tomorrow. Mark Strassman is there. Mark, good morning.
Good morning to you, Nate. Behind me, that's the VAB, the Vehicle Assembly Building, the mammoth structure where the SLS rocket was built and is now garaged. And when that rocket rolls out of that building tomorrow, the future of America's moon missions will roll with it. Behind all that scaffolding stands the Space Launch System rocket, NASA's answer to anyone who's ever asked for the moon.
It's an experience of a lifetime, to be honest with you.
The building of the rocket, the stacking of the rocket, start to finish, is you.
Effectively, yeah.
We met Matt Check, the Senior Vehicle Operations Manager here. Inside the Vehicle Assembly Building, his team has built NASA's most powerful deep space rocket ever. From its base to the Orion capsule on top, it's as tall as a 33-story building. Wow. Check took us 300 feet up. For an up-close tour of the rocket, his team has grown ground up.
There's nothing about human spaceflight that is easy or simple.
Hundreds of people have worked round the clock 7 days a week since November of 2024.
A million things have to go right, and only one thing has to go wrong.
That's absolutely right. Everything we do here is dependent on the person before you having done their job and done it well.
On Saturday, the SLS rocket will roll out to the launch pad ahead of a test flight, Artemis II. It will launch Orion and a crew on a 10-day mission, looping around the moon and back to Earth. Not since Apollo 17 in 1972 will astronauts fly this close to the lunar surface. The crew of 4 has trained for this moment for 2.5 years. Pilot Victor Glover, mission specialists Christina Cook and Canadian Jeremy Hansen, and Commander Reed Wiseman.
We are human operators on scene as we head out to the moon 250,000 miles from Earth, and we are really there to take care of the spacecraft, to work with Mission Control in Houston and get this mission accomplished.
And to tee it up for Artemis III.
That's what we talk about every day.
Artemis 3 will be a moon landing, NASA hopes, by 2028. The Chinese intend to land on the moon before 2030. And Artemis 2 is a critical milestone in America's second space race.
Does the capsule bring home the responsibility of making sure everything goes perfectly?
It really does. There's a special responsibility that comes with that. Each one of us has met the 4 crew members, and it's our responsibility when we launch them to make sure they come back.
We live in Houston.
Once this rocket gets to the launch pad, NASA will begin a series of critical tests, and how well those tests go will help determine when this mission should launch. Adriana, the first launch window opens on February 6th.
And we'll know you'll be there, Mark. Thank you so much.
Looks like we are going to the moon, and I'm excited for that. CBS report sets the massive historical context. 50 years. Moon rocket from NASA. We're targeting earlier than 7 a.m. Saturday, January 17th to begin the rocket's journey. NASA's official announcement gives us into the next one, 11 million pounds, 4 miles, 12 hours. These are what numbers look like for transporting a stacked moon rocket from the vehicle assembly. The staggering numbers show the engineering feat. 11 million pounds. Artemis 2 on the way to the pad. Reminds me of the days we used to see the space shuttle doing the very same thing. Just like, oh man, this is so, almost looks like the space shuttle. Look at that. Booster rockets too. This takes me back. This is awesome. And now the broader media coverage, NASA rolling its launch system rocket towards the launch pad, kicking off the final phase.
It marks a major milestone ahead of NASA's Artemis II, the first crewed lunar missile mission in more than half a century. Artemis II will carry 4 astronauts, 3 Americans, 1 Canadian, on a 10-day flight around the moon, taking them further into space than any humans before. The mission is currently scheduled to launch as early as February 6th.
What'd she say?
Scheduled to launch as early as February 6th.
February 6th. Now the human element. 1 Canadian and 3 American astronauts preparing for Artemis II. International crew as human interest transition to the astronauts and what they're saying about it. Let's see. Jeremy Hansen talks about the risks of the mission.
A lot of time figuring out what are we going to do if we lose communication with Earth, which is a very real possibility. Probably won't happen, but it's plausible that we can't talk to Earth and we're having trouble with the spacecraft. How are we going? What are the bare basics to give us a fighting chance to still be breathing and to hit somewhere on the planet and ideally hit the Pacific Ocean? Obviously, I've had that conversation with my wife and my children. Still a little bit more work to do there. What I want most is for them to know when I launch, because that will be a very acute, stressful moment, that they're going to be okay. If we have a loss of crew on the mission, that, it'll be tough. And they'll go through a process and mourning, but we're going to set it up so that they're going to be okay.
Now, The emotional moment. They're conducting the Access Arms Swing Tests on a Launch Complex 3B.
One of the first things that happens after we get to the pad, we get connected, is we'll do some crew access arm swings. That is about a day or so after we get there. Of course, the first part after we get to the pad is just getting all the connections, all the validations, getting tied back to the firing room, getting ready to power up the individual elements. And so that is something that, you know, you never want to say that's something that is routine, because you can have hardware that fails at any time. But I would say that's something that we did a number of times through Artemis 1. There are not substantial changes to that. We will get into our crew module work. There is some unique work that we did not have to do during Artemis 1 because we didn't have all of the crew systems. We have late stow, we have other things that we have to do. We're going to power everything up, all the elements. We'll get into pad PSET, mostly RF testing there. We've tested all these systems in the vehicle assembly building, but it's not in the RF environment of the pad. And so we'll go through and we'll do all of that checkout. We load the boosters. Again, there's some weather dependencies there, so we'll certainly keep an eye on the weather. Luckily, we're not trying to do it in the summertime when you have lots of thunderstorms, so makes it a little bit easier this time of year. There's nothing in particular through the whole pad flow that I would look at and say, you know, this is the thing that is the driver to wet dress, right? All of the work has to get done. We have incrementally tested all of this offline or in the integrated environment of the VAB. And now it's just getting out to the pad and testing those pad interfaces, that launch pad environment with the RF. I mean, wet dress is the big test at the pad. That's the one to keep an eye on. I guess if you're watching one and you say which one is the driver, that's the driver to launch. So that's the one to watch until we get to launch day.
Is that it? Okay. The wet dress rehearsal, NASA launching the window. Following the rehearsal, they'll convene the flight readiness review. Artemis 2 is a 10-day flight test of the SLS and the Orion.
Not only will this mission return NASA astronauts to the lunar environment, we're sending them farther into space than we've ever sent humans before. So this is a very important 10-day mission. It's going to be a flight test of our new vehicle, so the SLS rocket, the Orion spacecraft. It's going to stress and test all of our important systems to set up for future missions. Because Artemis 2 is the next episode up. The ones that come after that are going to be the American astronauts return to the lunar surface. Ideally, they've got the start of a moon base waiting for them already, and then we're going to continue those type of missions with increased rate, well into the future.
The human mission, new space age race. NASA's Artemis 2 mission, weeks away as China plans to dominate Earth's atmosphere by requesting to launch 200,000 satellites. Oh my God.
This next mission, known as Artemis 2, is going to do a circumnavigation. So it's going to go out much farther than humans have been in many, many years, much farther than what the International Space Station is. And this is similar to what was done in the Apollo program, where we do with the rundown to make sure that all of the systems are working and that we can successfully head out and then come back. China is very clear, and we should not be sleeping on China's space ambitions. To put it bluntly, they have an aggressive plan to use space not just as a demonstration of national power or for exploration, but to use the strategic landscape of space to the advantage of the Chinese country. And frankly, we should be aware and not miss the fact that they have plans not only for use of low Earth orbit, but also not just to go to the moon, but to have regular, permanent presence on the moon.
Are you ready for that? A permanent presence on the moon? I've been waiting for moon bases my whole life. So, listen, we got the crew access arm test happening. They're not just technical checks, they're the final verification that human lives can be safely delivered to the rocket. When launch director Charlie Blackwell-Thompson gives the green light, she's betting everything on decades of engineering and billions of dollars of hardware. The Artemis II rollout represents more than rocket science. It's proof that America can still achieve the impossible when we commit to greatness. This mission will either cement our place as the leading spacefaring nation or expose the limits of our current capabilities. The crew access arm swings, the wet dress rehearsal, every technical milestone between now and launch date determines whether we witness history or heartbreak. You can believe that NASA can pull off do you believe NASA can pull off humanity's return to deep space without a catastrophic failure? And while you're thinking about that, check out the Next News merch shop for gear that celebrates human achievement and American ingenuity. So tonight we've witnessed something extraordinary unfold across multiple fronts, a pattern that reveals the true state of our nation under this administration's policies. We started with Minnesota's massive welfare fraud investigation, where over 1,000 non-emergency medical transportation companies are billing Medicaid millions while their vans sit motionless in the snow. 90% owned by Somali nationals, collecting over $1 million annually each for services never rendered. Ghost addresses, phantom trips, taxpayer money vanishing into thin air. Then we saw Don Lemon facing federal charges after his unhinged disruption of churchgoers in Minnesota, screaming profanities at families, calling them Nazis, terrorizing children attending worship services. This is what happens when media figures believe their own propaganda and lose all sense of decency and respect for basic American values. Our third story brought us violent opposition to ICE operations in that same state. You saw it. Nick Sordar, journalist, robbed in broad daylight by Somali thugs who dragged him down the street, stealing his $1,000 camera while bystanders did nothing. Nobody helped. This is the lawless environment that's created when sanctuary policies protect criminals over citizens. Then we examined Trump derangement syndrome becoming a clinical focus, with Adam Carolla breaking down how this mental condition has destroyed relationships and warped reality for millions of Americans who simply cannot accept the will of the voters. And finally, NASA's Artemis II moon rocket prepares for its journey to Launchpad 39B. 11 million pounds of American engineering excellence, a reminder that when we focus on achievement instead of division, we can still reach for the stars. Do you see the connection? Minnesota has become ground zero for failed progressive policies, massive fraud, violent street crime, attacks on religious freedom, all consequences of refusing to enforce our laws and protect our citizens. Meanwhile, Americans' space program represents what we can accomplish when we pursue excellence over ideology. Remember our opener about this day in history? These stories are not isolated incidents. They're symptoms of a deeper crisis in American governance and culture. The question isn't whether we can fix these problems. The question is whether we have the will to do what is necessary. So before we sign off, don't forget to grab your gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and show your support for independent journalism that brings you the stories the mainstream media just won't touch. Special thanks to all of our Super Chat contributors and everybody who submitted Rumble Rants tonight. Your support makes the show possible, and your voices matter in this fight for truth. We'll continue following these developing stories. The Minnesota fraud investigation is expanding to federal level. ICE operations continue despite violent opposition, and NASA moves forward with humanity's return to the moon. I'm Gary Franchi. This has been the Raw Feed. Stay free.